Yeah. Um, okay. Stop. I worked myself up and now I can't get it back together. Okay. Get ourselves started now, I believe. Who's in here? Oh, hello. Hi, Sparky. Hi, Hector. Hi, babe. Do all the things. It's only Tuesday. Damn. 6th, 7th. It's only Tuesday, and I'm tired already. Already sick of this shit. Why do we do this? Why do we do this again? Just asking. Hello, hello. All right, let's get some music started so that my brain will shut up. Because that's the only way that works. Let's do damn bad. Oh, goodness. Now watch this drive. That's how it feels every day. Just now watch this drive. We're back doing it again. Thank you, Hector. Ooh, Biden's ice cream cone. It's one of my favorites. We know that. Welcome in, Amanda Raiders. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I appreciate you. I hope you had a wonderful time on Amanda's. Unfortunately, Amanda gets a lot of weird motherfuckers, and they have been on one. The men in particular have been on one. But I appreciate you guys coming in. We're just getting started this morning. And yes, Florida voters, vote today. Damn it. We talked about it yesterday in our midterm Monday segment, but vote. If you have not voted in Florida, vote. Yes. Yes, also repost before the shit starts its crap. Running away. Everything you made yourself a bed at the bottom of the blackest hole. You'll sleep till May and you'll say that you don't wanna see the sun anymore. No, oh, how could you do it? Oh, I never saw it coming. No, oh. Good morning, Kelly. Good morning. Hillary Duff vibes. Who? Me? Take my time. It's Paramore. It's Haley Williams. Take these chances to turn it around, yeah. Good morning, Dark Eagle. Good morning, Dragon's Kelt. Good morning, Yami. I see Eli over there in the YouTube already. Punch Munch is already starting. You have to support him whether you do it or not, but the use of weather being like sun, rain. How could you do it? Oh, oh, oh. So why can't you stay just long enough to explain? You can take your time, take my time. All right, good morning. No matter what woke time zone you're in, you still want to marry. I can't tell if I want to marry Haley Williams or be her or both. Maybe both. But good morning, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here on this Tuesday. Yes, titties are out Tuesday. For your viewing pleasure. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's make sure as we are entering over here on TikTok, W's again to the Amanda Informed Raiders. Welcome in. As was pointed out, yes, Florida elections today. We talked about it yesterday. Florida elections today. Make sure that you are voting in those if you have not already. Super important. So thank you for the raid and welcome in. Guys, I'm Monica, just Monida. It is Tuesday. Let's get ourselves started. If you're watching on TikTok, let's start tapping that screen, please. We'd like to hit 300,000 likes before the end of my 3 hours. That is about 100,000 likes an hour. I know you guys can do it because you did it yesterday. So let's get to tapping with those fingers. I would appreciate it so very much. Before I start playing anything on the screen, let's repost. Repost the live now. Add it to your story, share it to 5 of your friends, because TikTok really likes to suppress it as soon as I start putting articles on the screen. TikTok hates itself. I don't know what's going on with that. Something that needs to work out internally, but here we are. So make sure that we are sharing out the live as we're sitting here. Do your daily heart me if you have not done so. There should be a little heart next to my name. If there's not a heart next to my name, it means that you don't follow me. What are you doing? Could you please give me a follow? And then you can send your daily heart me. Gives you access to stickers in the chat. Lots of fun ones of my face that are in there that we use. And if your heart's grayed out, I'm very disappointed in you. How dare you? You just want me to yell at you? I think that you do. You just enjoy it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Hector, for knocking out all of my little penny goals, I guess you could call them that. We now have the finger hearts that we are working on. And do not forget, if you click my profile picture and hit the C4 gift gallery, we still have some gifts that we need to light up for the week. We have up until Friday, the end of Friday's stream, because that's the last time that I go live, that we can light up those gifts. I would appreciate it if you do so. Am I getting tabby? Okay, Audie. Means a lot. I would appreciate it. If you're watching over there on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button for me. Just helps push us out onto the algorithm. And again, I do go into this looking to have conversations. No, the phone line's not open yet, but it will be. But I have that number up there on the screen to have conversations with Trump supporters. I don't know how you can still be supporting him at this point. We don't live in the same reality, but here we are. I'm still willing to have those conversations, but I have them based off of factually based evidence and not your feelings. I will ask you to cite your sources. I do not want to hear that it's common sense. I don't want to hear, well, you don't think, and I don't want goddamn whitehouse.gov or some congressional judiciary committee unless they are citing said source in that committee hearing. Okay, cool, awesome. You can subscribe, you can become a member, you can send jewels, and you can send super chats in case the chat starts going too fast and you have something you would really like me to read. A super chat ensures that it gets read, whether it's a hate message, a message of support, or just something you want to spread to the entire community. I will read it, obviously, unless there's slurs or whatever in it, but I don't think YouTube will let you send it then, but maybe. If they do, that's not getting read, but I'll appreciate it anyway. Hello over there on Twitch, and good morning. If you are not following me, I'd appreciate it if you do so. You can also subscribe over there on Twitch. If you pay for Prime, Jeff Bezos gives you 1 free Prime sub a month. Why not use it for moi? I would appreciate it. And the subscribing gives you access to emotes in the chat that you can use, that we have lots of fun ones that are similar to the ones we have on TikTok. And you can send bits over there as well. All right, let's get ourselves started. Hold on, let me get rid of this. That, and we will get ourselves started this morning. Oh, duh. I have my 150 goal that I have every single day. Guys, we pay for women's labor on this platform. This is my job. It's what I do for a living, and it's how I pay my bills. So let's pay for women's labor. Okay, let's crowdfund. We can dollar train. We can $2 train. We can $5 train to get that accomplished. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio across all 3 platforms. If you're on YouTube, you should be able to see it right here. Twitch is over there at the bottom. It means a lot. I use the word appreciate too much. I need to find a synonym for appreciate. I don't know. We're gonna have to work on that. Hydrate. Okay, now we'll get started. I have a long outline that I've not been able to get through for the last few days, but that is okay. We will work on it as we go. We're gonna start with some breaking news, so that stuff tends to be a little bit out of order, but that is fine. We're gonna start with this polling that we got. again on Trump's net approval rating and how it is just getting worse and worse by the day or by the weekly poll, just getting worse and worse. So we head to our good boy Red Bull Golden Retriever Harry Enton to discuss that net approval polling and how bad it is. I can really talk? Yes, I can. I am a theater kid, so I definitely know how to do that. Yep, I fixed the speaker. There we go.
While his approval rating is at a very low level, the lowest of his presidency, CNN's Harry Enton looking at all the numbers. How low is it?
You know, if this were a game of limbo, President Trump would be winning. Unfortunately, this is the game of presidential popularity, and he is reaching record lows yet again. He is losing. Just take a look here. Okay, Trump net approval hits a term 2 low. Look at this. 31 points underwater, 31 points underwater according to Ipsos, the Reuters Ipsos poll. Look where he was at the beginning of term number 2. He was at plus 6 points. So he is down, what is that, the math quickly with me, 37 points from where he was at the beginning of his second presidency. You know,
that's really bad. Okay, and again, we're citing this Reuters Ipsos, okay? This was a Reuters Ipsos poll on Trump's net approval for term 2. Here we are in term 2, and at the start of January 2025, obviously had just been inaugurated, so he's going to have the best polling. Any president would have the best polling at the start of their inauguration. Already getting shit from TikTok. Already. Just keep throwing your app in the toilet. It's fine. Just keep throwing your platform in the toilet. Totally fine. Where he was plus 6 in January of 2025, he is now negative 31. That is how unpopular he is in term 2. You guys don't see that as an issue? Something you should look into? Maybe you're backing the wrong horse here. And I mean that in way of not him anymore, but his actions, his cabinet members, the people underneath him, and the people that he endorses who are literally only glazing his taint in regards to voting, primaries, and midterms.
President Trump was unpopular going into the midterms during his first presidency, but not anywhere as unpopular as this. He was 12 points underwater, so he is doing, versus where he was at term number 1 at this point, he is doing, what is the math here quickly? He is doing 9.
Molotov, you said I'm taking polls seriously when polls have proven to be misleading or false. Misleading might be the case, but again, what I ask you, I'm not saying take it for gospel. I am asking you to find me where he's doing better. There are right-leaning polls. Rasmussen exists. Find me. That's going to be late now. Where is it? You're not going to do it now? Oh my god, I have crabs. I'll do it. I have it set there. I don't know why it's doing that. Find me a poll where he's doing better.
19 points worse than he was doing in term number 1 at this point. And of course, those midterms were quite disastrous for the Republican Party. So you look at these numbers and you just go, oy vey if you're a Republican.
All right. Independents have a big role to play always in elections. Give us some sense of where they stand, because there is still a lot of the party that supports Donald Trump.
Yeah, okay. So, you know what? Republicans still, in large part, support Donald Trump. But as independents, who are the name of the game, they are the driver in elections. And just look at why these numbers are falling the way that they are. It is because of independents. Look at these drops. I mean, Trump's net approval rating among independents, term 2, he's 47.
Now, we've talked about this multiple times. Neither party wins without independents. You have to have independents to win. The party in and of itself does not have enough voters in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party to be able to win these elections. So you need independents. That's really bad for you. It's really, really bad for you going into the midterms with Trump endorsing candidates whose only policy is follow whatever Donald Trump wants to do. Again, what I am urging you to do is to critically think I got the flag already. What I'm urging you to do is critically think about the people that you are voting for in your primaries and in your midterm election in November. That's what I'm urging you to do. Are they actually offering you anything? Or are they just saying, we see Donald Trump's vision and we believe that he'll get it done, and so vote for me? Are they actually offering you anything, or are they just scaring you with black and brown people and trans people? Because I am not seeing a Republican platform that's actually offering anything that's going to be beneficial for the American people right now. Where is it?
Points underwater now. 47 points underwater. He was at -1 point at the beginning of his presidency, basically treading water, right? So what is that? That's a 46-point drop. So you see that drop of, 31 points from where he was at the beginning of his presidency, or 37 points from where he was at the beginning of his presidency among the overall electorate. But that's nothing compared to this 46-point drop among independents. And compare that to where he was at this point in term number 1 before those midterms. Again, he was underwater then, but he was just 10 points underwater then.
So, the reason why he's referencing August of 2018 with registered voters during the time is 2018 was the midterms in Donald Trump's first term. He was already being seen as unpopular, but he still had enough popularity to be able to hold on to some seats, right? Like, that's where we didn't see this big upset that everybody wanted of Beto taking Cruz's seat. We didn't see things like that because although his popularity was underwater with independents, he still had a stronghold within his own party. We are starting to see that kind of wane. Bowser, yeah, polls do go up and down. I agree with you. And I have asked every single time I show a poll, I ask for one that contradicts what we're seeing from YouGov, from Emerson, from Reuters Ipsos, from CNN, from Fox. Fox has held their own that I've shown, and people get really, really mad about it, about his net approval. I'm asking for a difference. It could next month being completely different. I would say the only thing that we see in way of trending polls for net approval is a president tends to start out great and go down, regardless of how awesome people think a president is. They start out high and it slowly drops anyway. This is really bad. This is a steep, steep drop with barely being into 2 years. So I'm asking to see something different, and I'm not seeing that.
Now he's 47 points underwater, so that's a drop of what?
What's a sanctuary city?
7 points? So this has been the problem with President Trump's second term, according to the public, which is he is going and placating the base, but leaving the center of the electorate behind. But you know what? You have to win the center of the electorate in order to maintain your popularity, in order for Republicans to win in these midterm elections. But independents are saying, you know what? We don't like what's going on. See you later.
Yeah, and the big question is, do they show up and vote for a Democrat or do they not show up?
Right.
Those are always the questions that you have to ask.
And that's the real question. Do independents show up at all, or do they flip vote and vote Democratic? I don't know. I'm not making any presumptions on what happens with that. I am just giving the numbers raw as we have them for this snapshot in time, because that's all that it is a snapshot in time, not necessarily a trend, unless you can show me different. Okay, as we're sitting here, thank you, Justin, for the $2 train. Choo-choo! I'm not even using a banked one for Punch Munch by Kristen Nationalist Scumbag. No problem. I hope you muted him and didn't wait for me to read that, because as long as it's in there, I don't give a fuck. So thank you to Justin getting us started off here with 148 left in the gold. Thank you so much as we get ourselves going today. Okay, I'm going to skip over that and make it its own segment at some point, maybe next week or something. Saw this headline. Did I keep that one up here? No. Okay. Disney and ABC sue FCC, seeking to stop early license renewal process. We have a First Amendment challenge coming from the corporations. Now, a house divided against itself can't stand. Wouldn't you want Democrats to have some unity in order to reach the goals you desire? We have a very big tent. Unity would be them having a big tent. The Walt Disney Corporation and ABC on Tuesday sued the Federal Communications Commission, seeking to stop an unusual early TV station license renewal process that they say is an attack on free speech by the Trump administration. The lawsuit is one of the most muscular legal challenges a media corporation has mounted against the second Trump administration. In late April, the FCC ordered Disney's 8 owned and operated television stations to file their broadcast license renewals ahead of schedule. The directive came amid a probe into ABC's The View program, as well as a long-running investigation into diversity, equity, and inclusion practices at Disney. Disney owns and operates TV stations in markets such as Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco. The licenses were not due to come up for renewal until 2028 at the earliest. All 8 of Disney's owned ABC stations are part of Tuesday's lawsuit. The move from the FCC also came after the White House and President Donald Trump himself assailed ABC late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel for a joke about First Lady Melania Trump. He's really mad about that. Does anybody know who is hosting Jimmy Kimmel right now? Anybody? Anybody seen it yet? This was great. It was a great opening segment. Anybody seen it? Donald Trump's gonna be real, real mad. Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, it was Rosie O'Donnell. Let's see. Yep, that one. The lawsuit cites Trump's social media posts, including one in which he complained that late-night TV hosts are almost 100% negative to President Donald J. Trump, and asked if broadcast licenses should be terminated, ? Acting through the Federal Communications Commission, the administration has waged a retaliatory campaign against ABC for a single reason. It disapproves of what ABC broadcasts, the suit states. That campaign began in this administration's earliest days and has only intensified since. Also, yes, Stookie, Melania is missing. We don't know. She said, in September 2025, Disney pulled Kimmel off the air briefly after pressure from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Kimmel had made a comment about the motivations of the man who authorities say fatally shot conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kimmel also criticized Republicans for how they responded to Kirk's killing. In the lawsuit, Disney describes the FCC action as an existential threat. The commission issued an unprecedented order requiring the stations to file early applications to renew their licenses years before any of their licenses would have come up for renewal in the ordinary course, and allowing only 30 days to file applications, which ordinarily takes months to prepare. Attorneys Beth Wilkinson and Paul Clement wrote in the civil complaint. The suit requests that the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia immediately stop the FCC from taking or threatening to take any action against Disney and ABC stations in relation to the early license renewal applications. ABC also requested a speedy hearing from the court and asked for a temporary restraining order. That's probably what we're going to see the most of. That's going to be like the first steps, is whether a restraining order is allowed or not to put a stop on revoking their licenses, because they're refuting the need to do so early. So that's going to be probably one of the first things we see, whether the judge allows that or not. The FCC and Carr did not immediately respond to requests for comment Tuesday. Anna M. Gomez, the lone Democratic appointee on the FCC, cheered Disney and ABC's legal challenge. Quote, I have long called on companies to push back against this kind of government intimidation, and I'm glad Disney has shown courage and stepped up, Gomez said in a statement. This should be a welcome sign for every broadcaster who has felt the weight of this overreaching government pressure in silence. In July, Carr argued that the FCC's orders to Disney and ABC were meant to ensure the media enterprises were operating in, quote, the public interest rather than retaliation. Seems like Brendan Carr has not read the net approval polls. The interest of the people would be the fact. Yeah, I know. The interest of the people would be what the polls are showing, which is that a majority of Americans are not satisfied with what's going on with Donald Trump right now. So no, we're not going to North Korea glaze the president. It's just not going to happen. If broadcasters don't like that, that's okay, Carr told CNBC. They can become a cable channel. They can become a podcast. They can stream online. But if you want to uniquely be on the public's airwaves, you have to comply with those obligations. Now, what he's talking about is if you are a cable channel or a podcast or streaming online, hello, you are outside the purview of the FCC being able to take you down or block your licenses. But still, even so, we see Disney is able to sue them on a First Amendment challenge regardless. Disney and ABC have also argued to the FCC that The View is a legitimate news program and have pointed to an FCC staff ruling on the matter in 2002. Carr also rejected that argument. The 2002 ruling was a staff-level decision that was based on representations made in the record all the way back in 2002, and so there's a question of, is the program still the same today as it was back then? So what we get is it either gets updated to say, yes, it still is, or it gets updated to say, no, something's different. On Friday, newly installed Disney CEO Josh DeMarco said that the company was principled in its fight against the FCC's moves. We're going to stand up to what we believe is journalistic integrity, tomorrow told CNBC, and we're not going to be told how to run that side of our business, he added, referring to the ABC broadcast network. I like what we do. We tell incredible stories. I think we do it well, D'Amaro said, and we're going to stay committed to that. So, Mickey Mouse's revenge. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of giant corporations like Disney, but if they're going to fight for the First Amendment so that the people can see what they want to see, good for them in doing so. That's what we want to see. All right. A little bit of local news for me that is actually making headlines nationally. We're back to Tina Peters, but we have some new reporting. Now, I have an MS Now article that Rachel Maddow did. I just don't feel like it's as detailed as the local Denver 7. So we're going to read the Denver 7 article, but I will have both posted in my live outline in my Discord server, okay? State lawsuit. This could be real trouble in future for cabinet members and the administration as a whole. State lawsuit alleges White House orchestrated campaign against Colorado. That please. It's very small print, so I'm going to try and get it up here for you guys. Why the hell? Okay, there we go. I couldn't see to make sure it was good on the mobile view. Attorneys called it a smoking gun. The judge said they had never seen anything like it before. Then the court wondered aloud what people would think if the contents of an email sent by a White House staffer were published in the Denver Post. On August 14th, our partners at the Denver Post did just that. Seth Klayman, a political reporter, was the first to break the news about an email correspondence disclosed last week in federal court as part of a case Colorado filed against the Trump administration. That email, attorneys argue, proves the executive office of the president participated in, quote, an unconstitutional scheme to attack and punish the state of Colorado for its lawful exercise of sovereign powers. According to the court transcript from August 11th that was obtained by Denver 7, Emily Underwood in the White House executive office sent an email on December 15th, 2025 with the subject line, brainstorm call. In that email, Colorado attorneys said Underwood directed members from the Department of Transportation, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Interior, the Department of Energy, and the Office of Management and Budget to attend a call that afternoon. So you got Sean Duffy, members of, it doesn't necessarily mean them, but in their department, you got Sean Duffy, Brooke Rollins, Doug Burgum, Chris Wright, and then you're going to have Russ Vogt. David Moskowitz, who argued the case on behalf of the state of Colorado, read a portion of the email from Underwood into the record. In a key part, she said, please come prepared to discuss immediate actions that your department or agency can take with respect to Colorado. Please do not forward this invitation or include others on the call without discussing with me first, Moskowitz told the court. That email was sent a few days after President Donald Trump took to Truth Social and claimed he was granting Tina Peters a full pardon, which he couldn't do because she was charged on state, not federal charges. Okay. Quote, Democrats have been relentless in their targeting of Tina Peters, a patriot who simply wanted to make sure that our elections were fair and honest, the post from the president said. Legal experts were quick to point out that the president cannot pardon Peters since she was convicted of state crimes, not federal crimes. It's almost like I said that. Peters is the former Mesa County clerk who was sentenced to 9 years in prison in 2024 after she was convicted of charges related to tampering with Colorado's election systems during the 2020 presidential election. Governor Jared Polis granted Peters clemency in May of this year. Governor Jared Polis is a bullshit caving motherfucker. By the way, it doesn't go into it as well, but if you don't know, yes, convicted to tampering, she allowed somebody who was not part of the election office to come in and look into the machines. Gave them access to the voter machines. Cool. Some Coloradans believe the Trump administration has targeted the state, whether over the imprisonment of Peters or mail-in voting, through a number of actions that included plans to dismantle the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder or cuts to federal spending. Denver 7 spoke with Ian Farrell, a professor of law at the University of Denver's Sturm College of Law, about the email from the White House staff member. As is so often the case in these current times, shocked but not surprised, said Farrell. The lawsuit filed by the state of Colorado names Trump and his administration as defendants. The state alleges that the Trump administration has unlawfully punished Colorado for its exercise of sovereign powers. Specifically, the filing highlights mail-in voting as a source of tension between Colorado and the federal government. The case began when Trump moved U.S. Space Command headquarters from Colorado Springs to Alabama. According to state attorneys, that was unconstitutional since Trump said Colorado's use of mail-in voting played a role in his decision. State governments are sovereign in their own right, and they do not have to share in the goals and policies of the federal government at any particular time, Farrell said. That shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone here in the United States, since it is very common. In fact, it's almost always the case that there are at least some states with a different party in control than the federal government. In a statement, Attorney General Phil Weiser, who is running for governor in Colorado against Victor Marks, vote for Phil Weiser in November, told Denver 7 that the email discussed in court last week proves, quote, the White House orchestrated an unconstitutional scheme to weaponize the federal government to attack and punish Colorado for its lawful decisions over elections and our criminal justice system. This is his full and entire statement. Moskowitz, the attorney who argued during the discovery hearing on August 11th, said they need to learn what happened during the December 15th meeting called by Underwood. Every agency was instructed to come up with actions they could immediately take against Colorado. Each of those actions is relevant. It's relevant to this case, regardless of whether it was expressly described in the complaint or whether defendants have yet to follow through, Moskowitz said, according to the transcript. Due to the time... Oh my God. Look at it! Oh my God, thank you so much. You know what I think it is? Maybe it is my actual studio isn't hooked up to the right sound now, which is interesting. Thank you. I appreciate that. Where the fuck? That one? Or is it this one? I don't fucking know anymore. No! Not that one. That one. Probably that one. That's probably why. W's to Hector, though. Huge fucking W's to Hector for that. I appreciate that. It was so pretty. It reminded me of Throne of Glass, which is a book that I've read. Fucking holy hell. Thank you. Okay. Continuing on. Due to the timing of the email, it's suggested that it was related to attempts by President Trump to get Colorado to pardon Tina Peters, although that is not explicitly stated. The timing is quite suggestive, Farrell said when Denver 7 asked what his interpretation of the email was. Whether or not that was in fact the point of these targeted moves against the state of Colorado, they seem to be illegal and unconstitutional, whether they're about that specific particular matter or whether they were targeting Colorado for some other reason in terms of not aligning with the goals of the federal administration. They believe it's going to be important. Now, does this go into... It's very detailed. Love that. Let's see. The judge also found that any oral or written communications, deleted or not, that relate to actions or threats taken against Colorado are fair game for discovery. That's going to be a problem for them. Is that the judge? Yes. Okay, let's go into that. For his part, Fox argued the plaintiffs are seeking information in this discovery process that goes beyond mail-in voting in Peters. Fox said his team has tried to narrow the scope of the request they were served with. Fox continued to address a request from Colorado attorneys for oral and deleted communications, calling it unbelievably unduly burdensome. The judge interrupted, saying he actually considered the request quite specific. When Fox pushed back and once again said it would be burdensome to track down every person that had a conversation on the topic, Jackson replied with another question, quote, in other words, there are so many oral communications and so many written communications about actions or threats against Colorado that it's an undue burden to even try to find them all. So even the judge is like, you're saying that you guys talked about going after Colorado so much that you can't even come up with a list of how many times you did. Cool. Jackson went on to say there may be other motivations besides Peters and mail-in voting that the Trump administration targeted Colorado if that's the case. Jackson ordered the defendant to participate in the discovery process like any other defendant. He agreed with Fox that it would be unduly burdensome to uncover evidence of federal actions or threats against other states, not just Colorado. That makes sense. You can't use this case to then use it as discovery on other cases. They would have to file their own cases. Colorado's case would set the precedent. That makes sense. However, Jackson said if the federal actions are linked with Colorado as targets, then he has no problem with such discovery, meaning that if other states are listed in an email that has Colorado in it, fair fucking game. What this one doesn't go into that this one does is talks about not only the moving of Space Command, but also we had the water project that would have brought clean water to a lot of Coloradans. That was under Lauren Boebert, who was trying to get that done. Donald Trump vetoed that shit. Where was it? It's in this one. Took steps to dismantle a renowned science lab. They mentioned that one. Transportation money was cut off. Relocated Military Space Command. And then that one rejected disaster relief as well for rural communities hammered by floods and wildfires. So this has been a concerted effort, it seems, a concerted effort, specifically partisan effort, to go after Colorado. Why? Could be mail-in voting, could be Tina Peters, could be both. Guess what? You can't do that. It's illegal. It's impeachable. Also. So there's that. Okay. No, don't do that. Let's go to more crimes committed by the Republican Party. We're going to pivot to Randy Fine. Randy Fine, who was a horrible human being, was out door knocking for his campaign the other day and decided he would break the law. Let's see if you guys can point out the law that he broke. Randy not fine. That's true. Uh-oh! MAGA, did you find the crime? It's like a game we play. Mail tampering. Yeah! He tampered with the mail. Touching a mailbox. You can touch a mailbox. Yes, I do, Steve. So let's talk about the crime he committed, because I'm not just going to give you a video and say he did it. No, Monica wouldn't do that. We're going to cite it. Welcome to U.S. Code 18 U.S.C. 1702. And I have two for you because we don't get to see the end of the video. So I'm not sure. Blue's Clues taught us to respect the mail. I'm not sure if he committed a secondary crime on top of this one, but he definitely did this one. Obstruction of correspondence. Whoever takes any letter, postal card, or package out of any post office or any authorized depository for mail matter, or from any letter or mail carrier, he didn't do any of those, or which has been in any post office or authorized depository, which is going to be your mailbox, or in custody of any letter or mail carrier before it has been delivered to the person to whom it was directed, with design to obstruct the correspondence or to pry into the business or secrets of another, or opens, secretes, embezzles, or destroys the same, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned for not more than 5 years or both. That's the law he broke. You're not allowed to look through people's mail in their mailbox. Not allowed to do that. That's a crime that Randy Fine committed on camera. You guys gonna call him out for that? Because you're the Law and Order party, right? You're the Law and Order party. You think that he should probably be charged for that crime? Now, what I'll say is I can't tell for sure, but when you look at the video, okay, he's holding, what a lot of people are when they're campaigning. And that's a flyer. He's got a little flyer in his hand down here. That when you're door knocking, when you're helping to campaign for somebody, you have little flyers that you want to hand to the people that you door knock to who answer. Now, we don't see it. He's looking through the mail, and he comes back here. Let me see. Now, he doesn't, but I can't. Do we think he put it in the mailbox? Because this looks like it just restarts itself. The clip looks like it just restarts itself from this point. Do we think he put that in the mailbox? Because if he did, hey, buddy, you just slapped on another crime. You also have 18 U.S.C. 1725. If he did. I don't know if he did, but if he did, if he sifted through it and decided to put his mailer in there, guess what? That's also a crime. Whoever knowingly and willfully deposits any mailable matter such as statements of accounts, circulars, sale bills, or other like matter on which no postage has been paid in any letterbox established, approved, or accepted by the Postal Service for the receipt or delivery of mail matter or any mail route with intent to avoid payment of lawful postage thereon shall for each such offense be fined under this title. Now, can't tell that he did. Can't tell if he did, so I'm not going to say he did. I'm just saying if he did, you can tack this one onto 1702. Because it's already illegal to sift through other people's mail. It would then be subsequently illegal to leave your flyer in there. Guess what? You don't get to write letters to your neighbors and put it in their mailbox. That's also illegal. Okay? You tape it to their door like a normal person. Or you text them. If you're that close to your neighbor, you text them. We have the technology now. So don't do it. Don't break the law like Randy Fine did. But hey, MAGA. Another one, Steve, if you have information on that, I don't know that you can message me through here, but if you join my Discord or like comment some of that information on one of my YouTube videos, I'll read it, Steve. I would love to know about that. I don't see a lot of support for Randy Fine in the comments. You guys just want to ignore his crimes? You guys like to ignore Republican crime. We know. We know. Shocker. Okay, continuing on with the news. Trump-linked crypto venture, World Liberty Trust granted bank status in unprecedented move for the president. Oh, here comes my former mailman husband.
I'm so proud of you. You're like Nick Shirley. You're just finding the fraud.
Nick Shirley doesn't cite laws.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go back and don't cite any laws and say you found.
That's why you got... You're making a list of monitoring radicals? Okay, Igor, sure. You do that. I'm a radical? What did I... What did I do that's radical, that's gonna get me investigated? Please don't waste the FBI's time. They've already got enough going on with the bullshit that is their boss in Kash Patel. They're busy enough already. Casey. For the 8647. Why is it not?
Oh my God, I have crabs. Oh my God, I have crabs. Oh my God, I have crabs.
Why did it play it 3 times? Thank you, Peter. I don't know. It's a lot of crabs. That was a lot of crabs. Okay.
Oh my God, I have crabs.
Okay, it's fixed now. It just needed to reset itself. I don't know. Trump-linked crypto venture World Liberty Trust granted bank status, an unprecedented move for president. I hate when it does that. A Trump-appointed national bank regulator granted a wing of Trump's family crypto business conditional approval to establish a bank charter, opening the door for larger clients and potentially heightened profits. The decision marks the first time in U.S. history that a company owned by the sitting president's family has been granted bank status, as Democratic lawmakers expressed concerns over potential conflicts of interest. In a letter published Friday, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency granted World Liberty Trust Company, an organization that is 38% owned by an entity affiliated with Donald Trump and certain of his family members, his sons, according to its website, the ability to issue stablecoin cryptocurrency tied to the U.S. dollar. World Liberty Financial, the listed sponsor of the conditionally approved trust, has previously relied on a third-party crypto company, BitGo, to provide a stable digital currency. Friday's approval allows the Trump family's business to cut out the middleman and provide the service directly. Again, Trump and his sons just making more money. Digital currencies like Bitcoin are historically volatile and therefore less appealing for entities making large transactions. Crypto tied to more stable values like the U.S. dollar or the price of gold can be more attractive to big spenders and can be marketed for use as a means of making payments, transmitting money, or storing value, according to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Those are the ones. The decision allows the Trump-linked business to act as a bank, issuing digital currency to clients for transactions. Clients would exchange the U.S. dollar for the stablecoin, with profits going directly to the Trump family's crypto business. The president's family has seen extensive profit from World Liberty Financial, securing around $5 billion in the company's first days after going public, according to the token's value at the time, with major investments from individuals and foreign nations continuing to fuel the company's value. Trump himself has made more than $1.4 billion in business revenue from his family's crypto ventures, according to his released financial disclosures. White House spokeswoman Anna Kelly has maintained that the president only acts in the best interests of the American public and said that no conflict of interest exists, in part because the president's assets are held in a blind trust managed by his children. Then it's not blind! If you know who's managing it, it's not blind. Just want to be really fucking clear about that. That's not a blind trust. Oh, look, typically, a blind trust would operate with an independent trustee. It's not, it's your children. Okay, cool. President Trump's assets are in a trust managed by his children, Kelly said. There are no conflicts of interest. No, none at all. State-backed Abu Dhabi investment firm MGX invested another $2 billion in the company in May of 2025, promising to use the Trump family's USD1 stablecoin in large transactions with crypto exchange company Binance. The deal later came under scrutiny with the Trump administration, then agreed to supply the UAE with highly coveted American-made AI chips, despite prior administration concerns that they may make their way to China. We thank MGX and Binance for their trust in us, and I think it's only the beginning, World Liberty Financial co-founder Zach Witkoff said after announcing the deal, alongside the president's son Eric Trump at a crypto convention in Dubai. Not to make it any better that his children run it, it's also Steve Witkoff's children. Zach Witkoff also helps to run it. No, we're not seeing... He doesn't know his kids. It's true. No problem. Nothing. You guys are good? Good with that kind of corruption? But Hunter Biden made paintings and then sold them, and his name was Biden. Witkoff is the son of the president's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. Ranking member of the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Massachusetts, urged the OCC to halt approval of Trump-linked business ventures, writing a letter to the comptroller in January. As an executive branch office, the president has ultimate authority over the OCC, though the office considers itself independent. For the first time in history, the president of the United States would be in charge of overseeing his own financial company, Warren wrote. Following the OCC's preliminary approval, Warren described the decision as the most brazen act of self-dealing our financial system has ever seen. I'm introducing a bill to stop this kind of unprecedented corruption, Warren said in a post on social media. The comptroller and staff acted consistently with their statutory duties and ethical obligations with respect to the application, the OCC wrote Friday. OCC staff reviewed this application in accordance with the agency's established policies and procedures. The charter application will not be fully approved until some conditions are met, including increasing the company's capital, the OCC said, which means more investment to the Trump kids and Trump himself. Awesome. There is a great comparison on Biden's crime families, corruption, and Trump. Yeah, I'm just like, it's just wild to me. It's like, well, Hunter Biden and Burisma, which I know nothing about, and the big guy, which I also know nothing about, and who they were talking about, and also paintings, and he used his name, and nepotism, and whatever else. But Trump totally giving, mineral contracts to his son's companies, drone contracts to his son's companies. His son's running his crypto venture as he is in charge of what moves the markets, while also selling early access to his truths, which affect the markets that then his children can take advantage of with investments. No, that's fine. No, nothing to see here. You silly, silly libs. Get your shit together. You guys are you guys are nothing. Nothing. You've invested everything into this man for no goddamn reason. Okay. We're not questioning. Well, they would rather have Trump than the libs lead. It was proven in 2024. Actually, more people voted against Donald Trump than voted for him. Yeah, they didn't vote for Kamala Harris. That's true. But more people actually voted against him or just didn't vote at all. You know that? Okay. J-Rock. She disputes that. Did you know that? Oh, you didn't know that? Of course you did. Okay, we're going to do a hard pivot in my last little bit of breaking news, and then we're going to move on to updates on Iran. Trigger warning. Genocidal ideation? I don't know if that's the way we put that, but we can. As we're sitting here, though, what are we at? We are at 60,000 taps, and we have about 12 minutes to get to 100,000. I don't know what's going on, but we are behind. So can we please use those fingers and tap that screen, please, and try to get those likes up? I would appreciate it so much if we did so. We have the little finger hearts that we need to complete about 20 more of. That would be awesome if we could do that. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not hit the thumbs up button, please do so. It does help push the live out there. Hello over there on Twitch. I still see you guys, I promise. Unfortunately, engaging in the chat is the best. Well, not unfortunately. I think that's great. Engaging in the chat and just watching are the best things that you can do for engagement over there on Twitch, so I appreciate it. Guys, we still have 148 left in the goal. Let's make sure that we are working towards that with a $1 train or a $2 train. I know we can get that accomplished. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all in the link tree in my bio. Let's start working on that so we pay for women's labor here, please. I would appreciate it. All right. Trigger warning. talking about things in Gaza. We're talking about Ben Gvir. I have talked about Ben Gvir before. I have talked about what he has said. I have talked about the meeting where they said that they were just going to start hanging people that they deem to be Hamas terrorists, but that determination seems like it's going to be very skewed because the cops are coming for what? What are the cops coming for? You spelled coming with 2 M's. Are you okay? Okay. Why does that button always stick on me? Senior Israeli official calls for the killing of 30 to 40 people in Gaza every night. Quote, they're not even people. Israel's far-right national security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, in a podcast published over the weekend, called for 30 to 40 people to be killed per night in targeted assassinations in the Gaza Strip. Discussing Israel's response to the Hamas-led terrorist attack on October 7, 2023, which sparked the war in Gaza, and Israel's recent move to reduce the number of strikes being carried out in the decimated Palestinian territory, Ben-Gvir said, quote, it's no secret I disagree with the prime minister. I think targeted assassinations should be carried out in Gaza, taking down 30 to 40 every night. Quote, not just those who pose an immediate threat, added the Israeli cabinet member. There are people there who are not worthy of life. They shouldn't live. They're not even people. This is fake. It's a podcast he did. He said this. What do you mean? He fucking said it. The security chief made the comment. By the way, that is him right here. You know, you can't see it very well, but that is him right here wearing a pin of a noose. The security chief made the comment to Ram Braslavsky, who was previously held as a hostage in Gaza, on his Sunday podcast. Israel once had a block of 21 settlements known as Gush Katif in the Gaza Strip, but the settlers and Israeli forces pulled out the enclave 2 decades ago. I see all of Gaza as ours, Ben-Gvir said in the taped interview. Settlements not just in Gush Katif, but throughout Gaza, encouraging as much emigration as possible, sending them to their countries, and for the terrorists, no emigration, nothing, just to kill them one by one. Legal experts and the Secretary General of the United Nations have warned that any move to force Palestinians to leave Gaza would amount to ethnic cleansing. Israel's vast network of settlements in the occupied West Bank, the other, much larger Palestinian territory, are considered illegal by the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and many other entities and nations. Israel's current government has encouraged new construction to the West Bank, however, and it disputes the illegality of most of the settlements in the territory. Inciting violence, Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazim Babadi posted about Ben-Gvir's comments on X Monday. Quote, these confessions must be recorded and preserved for the day of reckoning and trial of these criminals, he wrote. Similar statements by Ben-Gvir and other senior Israeli officials have been presented to the UN as evidence of an alleged genocidal intent by Israel's government in Gaza. The national security minister is no stranger to controversy. In May, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was able to form his coalition government, thanks to support from far-right politicians, including Ben-Gvir, publicly rebuked his security minister after videos emerged of Ben-Gvir's treatment of pro-Palestinian flotilla activists in custody. I played those videos for you. Last year, 5 long-standing U.S. allies, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom, announced sanctions against Ben-Gvir for inciting violence against Palestinians in the West Bank. Slovenia, the Netherlands, and Spain follow suit later in 2025. This year, Ireland and France banned Ben-Gvir from entering their territory. Ben-Gvir is a follower of Kahanism, a movement named after a long-dead rabbi who espoused violent ethno-nationalism and advocated for the expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza and the West Bank. The security chief's first moment in the spotlight came in 1995 when he stole the Catholic emblem off then Israeli leader Yitzhak Rabin's car. Rabin was hated among the Israeli far-right for signing the Oslo peace accords with the Palestinians. Ben-Gvir held up the badge to a TV camera and said, just as we got his car, we will get to him. Rabin was assassinated weeks later by a Jewish far-right nationalist. Ben-Gvir had numerous run-ins with police and several court appearances, including one during which he was convicted of inciting racism for taking part in attacks on Arabs and for supporting a Jewish nationalist terror cell. Ben-Gvir has no control over Israel's military actions, but he runs the country's prisons and national police force and has boasted of reducing food rations for Palestinian prisoners. Israel had until recently been launching strikes in Gaza most days. The attacks have killed more than 1,250 people since a truce came into effect in October, according to health officials in the Hamas-run territory. Israel appears to have reined in its attacks in a suspected concession to President Trump after Netanyahu rejected a U.S.-backed peace plan for Gaza last week. So that's who you're dealing with. That's who you're dealing with. that Donald Trump is in line with. Granted, he is disagreeing with Netanyahu, but Netanyahu does not share a difference in these views. He just claims to publicly. Let's get that fucking right and clear. He just claims to publicly because his actions have not changed. And he's starting to do it in other places. We have seen that in Lebanon as well. You guys denounce that kind of rhetoric? Do you guys denounce that behavior? No? Maybe? No? Oh my God. What is it? One of two? Huge W's. I want to see W's across all of my screens. Huge W's to Chicky for the 6153. One of two shells. The shells have spoken. The shell. I mean, that means I know the number, which thank you for that, because then I don't have to do the math. The shells. That's our favorite number. We love that number. Love to see it. Oh no, what'd you do? What did you do? What is that? Am I crazy? Or no? Or did I count wrong? Hold on. What is that? No, that's right. Now math. Yeah, I know. Wait, I'm mathing. Am I mathing right? I hate this so much for me right now. Yeah. I did. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. W's to Chicky regardless. I want to see it. Yes, you can throw my math sticker in the chat because that's Chicky and her Funko round money. Yeah, Chicky and her Funko round money. Huge, huge W's to Chicky. Bring us down to 7803. Yes, it's right. Wait. That's what it said. 86. Am I? Okay, we're doing this together. 8647 minus 844 is 7803. Am I insane? I don't think I'm insane. Oh, I mathed wrong. Ha! It wasn't me this time! It wasn't me. Oh, we're okay. Okay, we are going to pivot as we keep going here. Guys, keep tapping that screen. We're so far. I'll fix it. You don't have to fix it. It's fine. Yes, Donald Trump did vote by mail. But you know what? That's his... It's hard because as much as he rails against mail-in voting, he says... He has the excuse to because he's the president. That's his thing. Pivot my poor ankles. Yep, we pivot. You commie master. Ooh. You will jump. I'm jumping where? I'm not jumping anywhere. No, thank you. Commie master. I don't know what that means. All right, let's pivot to Iran. Donald Trump posted a truth this morning. It's not going well. Shocker. Again, he's doing the thing where Iran has said, we're not talking to you anymore. We are done with you. And we are going to wait till you either pull out completely or until you are no longer the president of the United States anymore. That was what Iran has been saying now for about a month. So Donald Trump had to come out and go, no, I'm not talking to you. There are no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The naval blockade remains in full force and effect. The Hormuz Strait is open and operating. No, it's not. All water mines have been removed or detonated. That's a claim. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. No proof of this, just things that he's saying. Justin will jump or he loses his knees. Jessica is not okay over there. I don't know what bot Jessica fell into, but it's unwell. So in that same vein of conversation, he also truthed about North Korea. So we're going to read that truth, or North Korea, South Korea. And we're going to talk about that truth as well. Based on my very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, I am not happy with the fact that the United States has, long ago, agreed to participate in joint military exercises with South Korea. These exercises are not only costly, with much of these costs paid for by the United States of America as usual, but send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Donald J. Trump has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Remember, North Korea that has continued their nuclear exercises regardless of Donald Trump's relationship with him. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, R. Baron. What are... You fixed it? W's Chicky. Wait. No? Okay. What were you trying to get it to? Oh! That one makes more sense. W's to Chicky for getting us to 6967. So there's that. So thank you. But again, North Korea has continued its nuclear operations regardless of who's president, but now we are going to be no longer doing or reducing our exercises with South Korea, which is to help train them against the technologies that North Korea is instituting. Thank you so much, Triple, for the money gun. I appreciate you. North Korea has been sending troops to Russia on the front lines to fight for Russia because Russia has been running out of troops. So then North Korea's soldiers are being trained on drone technology, all sorts of new tech in warfare that South Korea needs that training on. That was what we were meant to do. We're going to go there to help train the South Korean troops because that have a high turnover rate because of the contracts with which they sign in South Korea. We need to train them on the new tech that they are fighting, that they might be fighting against, hopefully not, but in future. If North Korea decides to pull some fuck shit, if China decides to pull some fuck shit, but Trump is mad. Therefore, and based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I have instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce the joint military exercises. While somewhat unrelated, parenthesis question mark, I recently asked the president of South Korea if they would like to join us in the denuclearization of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and they said, no thanks. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, he's mad they won't help with Iran. A war nobody asked him to start. A war he did not tell any of our allies he was going to start. And he's mad that they won't help. I have his video doubling down, which I think even further shows you his degradation and his ridiculousness in this demand. Because in the same breath, once again, he says we don't need their help, but they should have helped. One sec. Okay, Audie. So let me get that queued up while Audrey comes up.
Oh,
Hello.
you can. Hi, good morning, sir. I always forget about pleasantries. I am not good at this.
I do that too. I do it every time I join a panel, and I don't mean to, but I do it too.
I'm just like, let me just jump into it. But if it's the exact video I'm thinking of, go ahead and play it because I was planning on making a video, but nobody watches videos when it's actually educational. So go ahead and play it.
Is it this one? Him looking orange as fuck. The gold does nothing for his skin, by the way. I just want everybody to know.
Does he talk about numbers in this one?
I can't. It's 2 minutes, so I would assume he does.
Okay, yeah, play it. I'll
It's
wait.
like I played it, but I don't remember if I got that part. All right.
South Korea has been protected by us for many, many years. And during my first term, they agreed to pay close to $3 billion a year for protection because we don't, they essentially weren't paying. And I asked them to do that at my request.
Okay,
$3
so
billion.
I looked. Yeah, it's not true at all. I mean, if he adds it all up total, it might come out to $3 billion.
Sure.
Actually, yeah. Like for his full 4 years, it comes out to just over $3 billion. Because I think he forgets. So we have we have an agreement with South Korea. It's called the Special Measures Agreement, which we have had dating back to, I think, 2003. It might have been earlier than that. And so this is not new. This has existed. And I think, if I remember the numbers correctly yesterday, and sorry guys, I am outside. So if I remember the numbers correctly, in 2017, it was like 700 million for 17-18. 19, it increased to about 800 million. And then 2020, it increased to about 800 million, right? So you have like 600, 7, 8. And so altogether, yes, that adds up to 3 billion. This isn't unique to him. This is the same under Obama. It has gradually increased every single year. It's a part of our special measures agreement with them, and it's renewed about every 4 years, and we're on our 12th one. Just to put that out, we're on our 12th one with South Korea. South Korea literally pays us money for our military service members to be in their country, right? It's not that they're paying just for salaries like Germany does. Like, Germany takes care of utility costs and they pay the salaries for, Germany contributes to the salaries of local civilians working on base. Now, in total, technically Japan pays the most because they cover every single local civilian that works on the bases in Okinawa and Tokyo, pays all of their salaries point blank, period. So they pay like 1.8 billion, or they contribute, should be the correct word. And South Korea is currently at $1.3 billion starting this year, right? They were at 1.1 with Biden. So, like, again, it gradually increases year over year. This is not unique to Trump, even though he acts like it is. And it's 1.3 billion for the next, actually, I think this one ends in 2034. So I might be wrong on why the terms of this, but this one ends in 2034. So it's so unique, guys. Anyways, you can continue this one.
It's him having a hissy fit is what it is.
As I said, not right. They weren't happy about it, but they agreed. I asked for $10 billion, and they were very unhappy. But we agreed for a short term that it would be $3 billion, and next year it would go up, and the next year it would go up, so they start paying for their protection.
As Avi explained, they already do. But sure.
Wait. But he said $3 billion. Okay, so I forgot that he basically made it sound like it was $3 billion each year. Obviously not true.
No.
Oh my God.
2.9% inflation right now. What?
Uh-huh.
What?
Are y'all looking at Truflation? Because if that's the Truflation number, that is up.
God.
The election was rigged, and I ended up watching for 4 years and then coming back.
Oh my God.
That was
I watched Biden rescind that $3 billion here for whatever reason. When I called recently the president of South Korea, who I like, I think he's very nice, actually. But I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little...
Pause for a second. Yep. Okay. It's important to note that the special measures agreements are negotiated with Congress. Congress has to approve them. So.
Oh, well, yeah, because, funding. That's...
Yeah. I almost forgot about that part. So it's not like he did it. I mean, it was in conjunction with his office with Congress, but Congress approves this. So you guys can find all of this shit on congress.gov.
And we don't need help with Iran, but if you...
So that's the part I want you guys to hear, because he, again, fucking contradicts himself in the same sentence.
The president of South Korea, who I like, I think he's very nice, actually. But I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no, thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there.
So I called him. I like him. He's a nice guy. And I said, like, do you want to lend a hand to us with Iran? Like, we don't need your help, but, like, if you want to help, that's great. And they were like, yeah, no thanks. We're not going to do that. You said you didn't need our help. We're not going to help do that. Well, wait. What do you mean you're not going to help? Like, how can it be both?
I am going to say I don't need your help. But well, hold on. Let's try this. Monica, yeah. We're good friends. So I don't need this from you, but would you like to send me your tomorrow's outline so I can cover it tonight before you?
Not really, no.
Oh my God, how dare you?
I saw
on everybody that's listening, but
John Lovett did a really good comparison. John Lovett did a good one. It was like you're hosting a dinner party and you tell your guest, hey, you do not need to bring anything to this dinner party. I'm hosting it. It's totally fine. You don't need to bring anything. Just come. And they're like, okay. And they show up and you're like, where's the fucking wine? You didn't bring any goddamn wine? Like, what? You're now mad. You said you didn't need anything from them.
That was a better comparison than mine. Also, guys, to be clear, This was a good inside joke for those that watch me often to know that on Tuesdays, because it is Tuesday, I don't touch the news on Tuesday nights. So joke's on you.
Guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you? So, and I want to help them, but, you know, when you ask somebody, would you like to give us a hand, and they say, no thanks, and then we're guarding them from a country and paying ourselves billions of dollars, it's costing us billions and billions.
We're paying ourselves billions of dollars?
Yeah, so our shortfall after like what South Korea contributes is about $3.5 billion. So yes, billions. It's a low billion. Yeah, but see, I think he forgets that those are already required expenses of us just operating in other countries and also paying our military salaries, which South Korea was actually pretty awesome during the government shutdowns because if I remember correctly, they offered to pay the service members' salaries who were in South Korea.
Oh, I have to look into that. I didn't read that. That's awesome, though.
Billions of dollars to protect not only them, but other countries. Look at NATO. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars protecting Europe from Russia. Hundreds of billions, mostly from Russia, but from other things too. And then they say, well, they don't want to get involved with guarding the strait where they get most of their oil. They get.
No, because again, I don't know how many times I have to fucking explain this to Trump and to y'all who love Trump, is that you started a war without notifying your allies. None of our allied countries knew that you were going to do this. They found out the same way we all did. Well, not we all. Most of y'all did by waking up to it. I didn't sleep that night, so I found out in real time because I hadn't gone to bed. But that we decided we were going to fucking bomb Iran in February of this year. So no, you put them on the back foot. Now you're expecting them to help and you're threatening them and trying to extort them in a way to do so. And the strait was not closed until you chose to do this. Because guess what? If you would have told them, hey, we're going to bomb Iran, your allied countries would have been like, well, dude, we get a lot of our oil from over there. Don't do that.
Yeah, I woke up to it at 3 a.m. in the morning and it had happened at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh, fucking fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is great news. And then when Chris woke up too, he's like, did you see the news? I'm like, yeah, I woke up late. I woke up way earlier than this and I saw it in the middle of the night and I'm like, fuck my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I was awake, saw it, had a Discord call with Sunkiss and Mia because we were all like, why are we up right now? But we're up.
Oh no, let's not forget, guys, that like, okay. We pay to the majority of NATO spending doesn't leave your own country, right? It's you recycling your own money on your own military, right? The only NATO member that doesn't have a military is Iceland. Right. Little known fact. So, so every country spends money on a military defense except for Iceland, and then they have a mutually agreed upon 10-year spending plan for operational purposes, right? So it's just for their day-to-day shit. So them going to whatever country to meet up and plan life out or vote on whether someone's violated or enacted Article 5, that's relevant with everything going on with Ukraine. So that's why I say it that way. So it's like that, and Germany spends the same amount as us. So
yeah,
I guess Germany's also spending billions and billions of dollars on NATO, and they're not getting anything out of it.
Notice how Germany's not complaining about that? That's interesting. Just Trump. Oh no, how do I do that? Every single time. Hold on.
What did you do?
It's like I collapse all of my windows, and I don't know how to bring them all back. So I have to like do it individually, and I don't know how I do this every single time, but I do. Okay.
Is by chance is your mouse ever in the very bottom, like
That's why it's
furthest
happening.
right-hand corner?
It's like the far left
Yeah.
because I was trying to hit the play button. I don't know how to bring it back though when I do it.
Oh, that's weird. I was gonna say there's a collapse everything like little button that people don't see on their taskbar. I wonder if it changes location when you have something up on the full screen. I don't know.
50% of their oil.
If you want, I
And
can.
they don't want to get
Oh,
involved. Why
sorry.
are we?
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you want, I can stay on the panel for an algo boost. I don't know if it'll work or not because should be jank on this app.
Yeah. I don't care.
Doing it. So all I want is fairness. And South Korea, I get along with them very well, but they were paying $3 billion a year, and then they convinced Biden that I was probably a bad person and they shouldn't, and he immediately rescinded that order. So we were getting paid. We would have been getting paid a lot more, but we can't go around and protect all of these countries, especially when they're not there to help us.
Oh, I hate the gaggle when they start going off like that. But again, yeah. So you don't need their help, but you're gonna have a giant hissy fit and reduce our cooperations with them because we don't need their help. Okay, cool, awesome, got that. Oh, that's just my husband saying he got stuff for dinner. Yay! Thank you to Scuba Steve for the $10 to keep Ruben muted. P.S. Fuck ice. Ruben is just gonna be muted until the end of time, I think. I think that's where where Ruben's just gonna stay. But you know, at least he's respectful of the consent that he gets muted. I don't sure. All right. Trump at a rally that he did decided he was gonna try and claim congressionally right, that's what I was gonna look up, Ari, because you know I just want the no. I just want to see the no framed in real time. But Donald Trump held a rally where he then decided, like he did with the Panama Canal, what happened with that? Like he did with Greenland, what happened with that? That the Strait of Hormuz is going to become a territory of the United States of America.
We're bringing the prices way down. Look at what's happening, coming way down. And after we finish defeating Iran, which is being very badly defeated.
It's not. Chain, obviously not, because I can see your message. Actually, my mods are pretty good about muting only the worst of the worst, people who say disgusting things or spout anti-Semitism or slurs. Sometimes they do just mute you to fuck with you, and that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they want over there, for the most part, as long as it doesn't affect the viewership. But guess what? I have this fancy little call number that you guys don't call because I'm going to ask you to source your claims, and you don't like that. So no, I actually don't silence you. I give you opportunity to speak to me. You just don't. So, cool.
Pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. Essentially, that's what it is. We have the blockade.
By the way, not how that works. You can't just say, I declare it ours and make it true. Not a thing. Not how that works. Why does he say it like that? I don't, because he can't talk. But he decided he was going to double down on that in his nightmare-fueled, jaundiced Oval Office yesterday. And, so yeah.
Last week you said that you would soon declare the Strait of Hormuz to be a territory of the United States. Could you elaborate?
Well, I just think it's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, we control it. We control it with.
Have I muted anyone calling names on the left? If they are using slurs to do it, yeah. I don't give a fuck who you are. We do not shout slurs, and we do not use anti-Semitic rhetoric in my community.
The blockade. We have a blockade. We control it with the blockade. And I like the idea of declaring it a territory.
Why might you do that?
We have total control over the strait. Now, they can be a nuisance. They can put a mine in the water, and people don't like having mines hit their billion-dollar ships, you know, et cetera. But the blockade has been very effective. And, you know, we're taking out, and now maybe that will stop, or maybe it'll open up even further, but we're taking out millions of barrels of oil a week. If you look at the kind of numbers that we're doing, the strait is open. And the oil prices are coming down, and they will continue to come down unless
They went up to $85 a gallon this morning.
we decide to do something
Or barrel, sorry.
far more drastic than we're doing. Iran is in big trouble. They have
Shane, what's my party affiliation?
300% inflation. The country's a mess, and the military is totally defeated.
Obviously not, because they're still fucking fighting and they're still there, and you can't get a deal with them, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you don't just get to declare the Strait a territory of the United States. That is not how that works. But it didn't stop the White House from tweeting this morning. Probably easier to see like that, actually. It's just like we're being run by meme bros. It's wild. Theoretical YouTube channel mutes are why the party is falling apart. Again, Shane, what's my political affiliation? Do you know? You said my party is falling apart. Is it? My political party is falling apart? Interesting. For me to find out. All right. So then not only that, Donald Trump decided he was going to... Nope, not that one. That one's too short. I got the longer one. I remember. He's going to threaten one of the people helping us to have talks. Cool. Oh, no. Was he in here?
Today.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks just spoke with President Trump and joins us now from Tel Aviv. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just got off the phone with President Trump, who discussed the situation with Iran as the...
You want me to mute bruh because he called Trump a moron. I'm sorry. Have you listened to Trump speak? Oh, you don't see anything. You're right, you don't. I'm sorry.
Today.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks just spoke with President Trump and joins us now from Tel Aviv. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just got off the phone with President Trump, who discussed the situation with Iran as the 60-day memorandum of understanding expires. The president told Fox News Iran should raise the white flag of surrender.
By the way, we'll get more into that. He gets asked about that and dodges the question completely. But in case you didn't know, the memorandum of understanding gave us 60 days to do, allegedly 60-day ceasefire. That has not been the case, but 60-day ceasefire to do a deal with Iran. Donald Trump broke that deal immediately by threatening Iran. Israel was still in Lebanon. All of these reasons that it was still broke, so Iran said absolutely the fuck not. But it officially expired today, just in case anybody didn't know.
Went on to say, I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry. The president indicating that the U.S. naval blockade is continuing to put new economic pressure on the Iranian regime, despite what the Iranians have said publicly. He said they're good poker players, but they're dying, and that the midterms in the United States have nothing to do with the president's thinking. Now, I asked the president about these parallel talks that are taking place between Iran and Oman about control of the Strait of Hormuz. And the president told Fox News if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the S out of them. We went on to talk about a variety of different regional topics, including the U.S. stockpiles of weapons that are currently...
Not a good idea to threaten your allies, people who have been working to ensure that we get a deal. A majority of our conversations have been with Qatar being the mediator, but the fact that we're just going after Oman now, who has also been a mediator in these talks for years, it's insanity to me. So you can't get done what you need to. You're not the guy who is the art of the deal like you said you were, and you can't get it done diplomatically. You can't get it done militarily, so you're now going to go after your allies.
Stationed in the Middle East. The president says what we've used so far...
Shane, stop whining. The reason you're getting muted now is because you're complaining about mutes, and so yeah, my mods are probably muting you to piss you off. Get tougher. I don't know. Call the number and have a conversation with me. Stop crying.
Is peanuts. He went on to say the United States has a lot of mid-level weapons and that many of the more advanced systems, the president says, were given away by President Biden to Ukraine, for example, when we're talking about air defense that is needed right now in the Middle East. The president also spoke about U.S. ally Israel. Remember, his son-in-law and top negotiator Jared Kushner is in the region. He met yesterday with Khalil al-Hayya, the current Hamas chief in Egypt. And the president said that they have a different channel with Hamas and that ultimately they are giving up their guns, talking about the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip. I asked the president about the upcoming Israeli elections in October, and President Trump told Fox News, "I think it's most appropriate for me to stay out of Israeli elections, but I may endorse somebody." And so a lot of headlines here.
It's appropriate for me to stay out, but I will make an opinion and interfere. Like, then you just shut up. You just don't talk about it at all. Shane, and you got the comment you got muted for. It's even funnier. I'm not a registered Democrat, sweetheart. Oh.
The president talking about the latest in terms of the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranian regime that at this moment appears unwilling to reach a diplomatic solution.
Yeah, Ukraine aid was mostly a loan. Yeah.
With the United States. Guys?
Trey, it also looks like we got an answer from the president about what is priority number one for the United States. Is it the nuclear weapon or getting the gas prices down? He responded to that on True Social.
Yeah, the president posted on True Social, and he was very clear that ensuring that Iran never has a nuclear weapon is the #1 priority for the United States. I asked the president about the communication with the Iranians, and interestingly, President Trump confirmed to Fox News that there is a back channel with the IRGC. These are the hardline officials inside of Iran, and that the United States and officials in Washington are speaking directly with IRGC officials in Iran. This is another indication that the Trump administration is not just dealing with the political echelon in Tehran, but also some of these hardliners that have launched attacks against U.S. forces and, of course, in the Strait of Hormuz.
But Trump just came out and said that they're not speaking, that no conversations are happening, no talks. But again, he did a lot of doubling down in the Oval Office yesterday, so here's him being mad at Oman. Why? I don't know. And guess what? Fox is not going to know either. I'll show you that clip right after.
On Oman this morning you said you would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Would you say you're out of patience with Oman as strategic partners?
No, I don't think they behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
The fuck does that mean? What is that? What does that mean? Well, guess what? Fox doesn't know either. Just as confused as you and me, I guess. Why my screen is...
We'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
No, what's Oman been doing wrong? They were trying to engage in negotiations with Iran on the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, they made their case. Then they turned it over to the U.S. and Iran and just been sitting on the sidelines ever since.
John, I don't see Oman doing anything that would make them complicit in supporting the Iranian regime. And I would rather the administration focuses on fulfilling the threats they've made to the regime. As an example, in the last few days, 3 tankers have been struck in the Strait of Hormuz. The administration has said there would be a strong U.S. response if that happened. And our credibility is on the line every time we don't follow through on those threats. And I'd rather we focus on that instead of making new threats to Oman.
Yeah,
No, that's true. The problem is that Donald Trump has tacoed and waffled back and forth so much on like, we're going to strike them. Just kidding. They asked for a reprieve. We're going to strike them. Oh, no, our friends told us not to. We're going to strike them. Wait, no, never mind the markets. And so now adding threats onto Oman on top of it is like, you can't focus. He is just fucking shooting darts in the dark. Like, just like, there's just he doesn't know what to do. He should not have got himself into this. He was way he underestimated what this war was going to be, how fast it was going to go, or how long it was going to go. He thought it would be faster. It's a mess, and he doesn't know what to do. He is trapped between a rock and a hard place of not wanting to attack more because of what it does to the markets, and that makes him look bad. But also of doing nothing and having a prolonged war, which nobody wants, which also makes him look bad.
I know that Oman has got a close relationship with Iran, but I don't know what they've been doing to earn that.
Oh, why are we going after Oman? That's wild to me. I don't get it. So then here's where I will show you that he is asked a question about the fact that the MOU has expired and we are still no closer to a deal. Do you have an answer to that? And he kicks the can down the road and then never answers.
And Mr. President, your memorandum of understanding with Iran expires today. Are you any closer to reaching a final deal on ending Iran's nuclear program than you were 60 days ago?
Let's finish up with Ryder, and then when we're done, we'll answer a couple of those questions. Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. President.
He never did. He never went back to that question. Okay. And then we have the deputy commander of Northcom came out and he spoke about the possibility that the U.S. is going to be unprepared if we do have strikes on our own soil. Granted, I'm still a firm believer that we're so defended that strikes on actual soil in the United States is it's not impossible, but it would be very, very difficult. However, because of our munition supply and what we have going on in Iran and that dumb shit, he does point out our vulnerabilities. We have vulnerabilities now that we didn't have before because of such a low stockpile.
The next threat to the homeland can be a swarm of inexpensive drones launched from inside our own borders rather than a missile approaching from thousands of miles away. Does NORAD have the sensor coverage, authorities, and decision speed necessary to respond?
No.
And could you comment on that?
What? This is the deputy commander of Northcom. We no?
Borders rather than a missile approaching from thousands of miles away. Does NORAD have the sensor coverage, authorities, and decision speed necessary to respond?
No.
And could you comment on that and on the gap today, the biggest gap you see?
Well,
So I'm going to let him respond in just a minute. We have somebody. Oh, nope, we did have somebody in the box. They ran because they have no patience. Shocker.
I mean, we don't have the sensors, and we're not,
It's not literal? Oh, well, it's not literal. You've heard him explain this already? It's not literal? So explain to me. You explain to me. Since you don't, you know better than the deputy commander of Northcom. You explain it to me. No?
and we're not, depending on where that swarm is going to attack, depends on whether we have any sensors at all, and also whether we've got any effectors to get after that problem. So we are ill-equipped right now to handle something like that, and obviously that is we've seen it used. We're seeing it used on a daily basis around the world, and we've got to figure out how to mitigate that threat, but we're not there yet.
That's a problem. Maybe we should focus on our defense at home. You know, that whole America First thing that you guys said you wanted to do, instead of worrying about a fucking war in Iran that we don't need to be in. Okay? Cool. And then, what is this? Yes. I have this quick CNN panel. There was a viewer question about the military operation being easy. One of the Trump tank glazers tries to push back on who the fuck said it was easy. Your president. Dum-dum.
All right, I got it. Unfortunately, this one is a tough one, but I'll give it to you. If it was an easy military operation in Iran, why are we still there? This commenter asks.
Who said it was easy? Trump said it was going to be 2 or 3 days, and he said it was going to be 4 or 5 weeks. Now it's 6 months. I think he's appropriately.
Kate, no, actually, I don't ignore the terrorist country that wants nukes. I actually read. And so I saw that we had a deal within the JCPOA that kept it where they could not enrich uranium past 3.67%. They did not have a nuclear weapon, never had a nuclear weapon. And now Pete Hegseth is saying we're bombing their ambition for a nuclear weapon, which also doesn't really make any sense. If anything, we are pushing them to wanting one now because the Ayatollah had a religious fatwa, which meant that they, which specifically said that they could not develop a nuclear weapon. So I read. But it's interesting because we're not worried about North Korea or Russia or Pakistan. We're not worried about any of those countries actually having nuclear weapons already. We're worried about the country that doesn't and never did.
Dialing back expectations. You had a bunch of bravado, a bunch of tough guys at podiums. I think he's now seeing that this is going to be something that he's in, and it's
the president is going to have to walk back his tough guy bravado because now we're 6 months in and it's not an easy military operation.
This is going to be a long game.
But he set the expectation.
Yeah.
So now I wouldn't say he's actually dialing it back. I think he just runs and talks about the ballroom if he has to dial anything back. There's no dialing back with this president. I wish there was.
And look, he thought this would be Venezuela, and it was not. All right. All right, I got it.
And that's true. He did. He thought it would be like Venezuela, and it wasn't. I don't know why he thought that. Probably because he's surrounded by a bunch of yes men who are also very unintelligent. Pete Hegseth is not qualified for that job. I'm not sure. But Jared Kushner, who holds no actual elected role in the government, no governmental role, has been over there allegedly doing talks. And he was asked about how's it going with Iran over there.
Today, the memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran expires. Where do negotiations stand with the Iranian regime?
Yeah, so right now, President Trump's been very focused on the economic pressure. He really feels strongly about the blockade. If you look at the Iranian economy, it's way worse off. It was bad before the war. It's way worse off now. But President Trump's been very clear on why he took the actions he took, which is he believes that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if Iran is willing to, finish the deal that they've been discussing with us to give up their ability to create a nuclear weapon, then obviously
They never had it. Again, a lie.
he's willing to make a deal that could be great for the Iranian people, and he's it's something he would be open to. But right now, they're not showing any interest in doing something that makes sense for us.
No, of course not, because you fucking bombed them out of nowhere. So they're not going to do anything that makes sense for us. They're going to do what makes sense for them. Well, I don't know if our economy is worse off, Jay Bunky. What I would say is that we're doing this jingoism thing where it's like ours is bad, but theirs is worse, which doesn't make anybody feel better. Hi, Steve. Checking in from Southern California. I hope you're having a wonderful time. California is beautiful. My mom literally wants to live there now. So, Sparky, you're going to have to figure that out. Because my mom's like, if I could live in San Diego, I would. I was like, it was beautiful. I would be at the beach every single weekend. Does it ever rain? So, thank you for checking in, though, Steve. We miss you in our mornings, but we hope you're having a fantastic time. I wanted to go over this a little bit. We've been going over the USS Abraham Lincoln over the last few days, yesterday and last week. But I wanted to show you that he was asked a question. Is this the... Is this the whole... I can't remember where I put some of these. I get both of them, but some of the clips are from the end and some of them are not. Okay, yeah, so not that one. This one. He was asked in the Oval Office again about these reports on the USS Abraham Lincoln and the food shortages, the nasty food, the mold, the fact that they haven't had a port call in 200 days and they've been on the seas for about 250 days total. And he wants to call it fake, whatever. But he was asked about it because that's a reporter's job, is to give you the hard questions, not to glaze the president's taint, is to give the hard questions and asked what is going on the USS Abraham Lincoln. And he gets very, very upset at a woman reporter. Shocker.
Obama, he didn't like anybody, but I get along with him very well. No, what I'm doing is making things safer. Just the opposite. Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're loud. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. Obama.
Yeah, her family. Yeah, they've been going after her family, her children. They've been going after her. It's absolutely fucking disgusting that he thinks he can talk to people like that, talk to journalists like that, from getting a hard question. You guys are cool with that? Like, you're good with that. You don't care. I know you don't care because you also hate women. I'm very, very fucking aware of that. But you guys don't fucking care. Well, CNN, goodly enough, I don't know, that's not a word, good enough, did come out and tweet in support of their journalist. which is the first time we've seen that in the amount of times that Donald Trump has told women journalists to smile, to be quiet, quiet piggy. We have not seen a lot of support in totality, but CNN did come out to back Kristen. Kristen Holmes is one of the most respected and accomplished journalists covering the White House. This afternoon, she did her job and asked the President of the United States a tough, relevant, and newsworthy question on behalf of the American people. Public officials are free to challenge reporting they disagree with, but personal attacks on journalists for asking questions are beneath the office and inconsistent with the principles of a free press. We stand firmly behind Kristen and reject these attacks in the strongest possible terms. How is it fake? Anybody want to tell me how the reporting that we are getting from family members of these service members, from the service members themselves, is fake? Because guess what happened? You had Pete Hegseth say it was a misrepresentation. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a lie. Donald Trump is the only one saying it's a lie. You had Admiral Bradley Cooper visit with them and say, oh, no, these were issues that were happening, but they're solved now. So they were happening. So it's not a fake news story, right? Okay. Byron Donalds, remember to vote in Florida if you have not voted already. Do not vote for Byron Donalds, but I mean, there's shitty choices. I don't know. Maybe vote for Byron. Vote for Byron if you're a Republican. I don't fucking know. But we're gonna point the guilt in the right direction for the USS Abraham Lincoln, because of course that's what they do.
Quickly about the USS Abraham Lincoln, we've been talking about it here this morning. The president's been talking about it in recent days. Floridians are among the nearly 5,000 crew members who are aboard that ship right now. The president said that that deployment was not long enough. Do you agree with that assessment? They had been there for a record length of time.
Well, listen, that's a question for the commander-in-chief. I'm not in charge of military.
Did I call him Bradley Cooper? It's Admiral Bradley. I don't know. Oops.
Maybe.
I probably did.
Deployments. I'm in charge of leading the state. I'm in charge of running to lead the state of Florida into the future. What I will tell you is that our state, we are the most veteran-friendly state in all of America. And so the conditions and quite frankly, the retirement of our service members, that is of my top priority and what's important to me. And so the president, he's the one that's in charge of how these deployments go. He's the commander-in-chief. Okay. I think what we got to be careful of is not trying to do Monday morning quarterback on one story over or another. If you look at our military today, morale in the United States military is at the highest levels that it's been for a long time. Recruitment in the United States military today is at its highest levels than we've had it in
well, because he's running against Fishback, Lynette. There's really no good choices here.
Quite some time. And once again, and I know how we want to talk about issues today, but you also have to look at what
isn't he running against Fishback?
There's 9.
Oh God. Okay.
Was happening in this country 3 years ago, because 3 years ago everything was going wrong, especially.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
What about Biden?
I forgot.
In our military, where recruitment levels and morale was at an all-time low in the United States military under the previous administration.
Understood. Obviously, we're now talking about what's going on today, and I think we would both agree that the morale of these individuals.
No, we are.
Stop talking about Biden. Stop it. Stop. It's pathetic at this point. It is so pathetic. Let it go.
One second.
We're talking about what's going on today. We are talking about what's going on today. And when you set these policies in place, you have to recognize the damage that was caused before, and you have to work diligently to fix them. Of course, we would all want to have these things fixed immediately on day one. But unfortunately, when you're digging out from terrible economic policy, terrible military policy, and quite frankly, terrible border policy from the previous administration, it takes time to work through these issues. And we're going to diligently.
See how he's steamrolling? He's steamrolling on purpose because he knows that none of that is true. Biden's border policy, economic policy, what have you, would have no effect on what's going on in the USS Abraham Lincoln today.
He's just trying to run down the clock because at the end, he's just like, all right, and we're out of time. Yeah. I mean, he knows it. So the only person I would recommend on the Republican side, and this is mostly just because of DeSantis, is Paul Renner, because there's not a lot about him. He used to serve in some government position. I don't remember what government position, but when DeSantis hasn't endorsed any candidate, by the way, which was probably smart, but he endorsed anybody for the primaries. But when he was directly asked about Paul Renner, he explicitly said, no, I wouldn't endorse him, and I don't think he should run. So just because of that, I'm like, him, yeah.
We'll do that one.
If DeSantis doesn't like you, I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's usually a good thing. We usually like that. Okay, thank you, and huge W's to Oh Me, Oh My for the 2067 and then another 10. Your first message was that guy is all cheekbones. I'm guessing you meant Jared Kushner. He absolutely is. Entirely all cheekbones and bone structure. It's very, very weird. Looks like he vacuum sealed his skin to his skull. Don't like that. And also thank you for the other 10 for I don't trust either Bradley Cooper to be honest. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. So thank you so much. Oh me, oh my. That brings us down to 29 for our goal with about an hour and 15 minutes left in the show. As we are sitting here, well, I can't see it from here. I have to go here. We are at 140,000 likes. We are just super behind on likes today. I don't know what's going on, if the likes are being an issue for you guys, or you guys are just taking a break with your fingers. I don't know.
I think it's something wrong with TikTok counting it, because two things I noticed last night, right? Well, so actually one thing that I know for sure is that for those that are using the auto TAPPERS, it caps you on, it locks you on your account once you've hit 75K. That's it. TikTok literally stops counting any likes on your account for this live. So once you hit 75K likes, that's it. You're done. Oh look, Granny acknowledged me asking them to not call me Audie anymore. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's Ari only. Thank you. And I know people were tapping yesterday in my live, and it just like stopped moving after it hit a certain number. So I think Amanda was onto something when they said they spoke to someone at TikTok that told them they're no longer focusing on likes in lives. So because it's just not calculating correctly anymore. I know it's not. So
that's fair. I mean, if they change their engagement platform from taps, I don't think anybody's going to be mad about that. That's fine.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think we'll all be fine with that. That just means we have to do all of the other things, which includes, guys, I have the little go live pin flag gift. If we could get that accomplished, that would be great. Do not forget, my gift gallery still needs to be lit up for the week. We can work on that over here on TikTok. And if you are on YouTube and have not hit the thumbs up button, please do so. I would appreciate it. Also, thank you, Shelly, for you reached a 5-stream streak over there on Twitch. W's to you for that. Love that.
Gosh, I love the stream streaks. Also, if you guys are on Twitch, so guys, if you are on Twitch, I just want to give you a friendly reminder. While Monica gets credit for you lurking, she also gets credit for you guys being active participants in the chat. She gets more credit from you being active participants, right? Because her and I are both trying to build our way to partner instead of just being an affiliate. So in order for that to occur, you guys have to be actively chatting, because it does it based off of your active chatters and viewers. So give us both. Do both. All right, guys. So chat, lurk, all of the things. We love all of it. Do all of the beautifulness that you guys are in the Purple Witch app. So I mean, I just got a little twist going on.
Well, DJ Bookie, I'm glad that you asked. I appreciate you asking for permission, but I haven't seen you in here like you used to be, and maybe you've been busy, but also I'm very disappointed in you. And how could you? I can't believe that you would leave me like this. You're very, very bad, very, very naughty, and I think that you now have to sit on your knees and tap to ensure that you have gone into my good graces once again, DJ Bookie.
But DJ Bookie, I'm going to add a caveat. Unless you're also helping participate in Mia or my chats, Monica will not forgive you. So you got to be active participants for both of us lovely women. So we're just beg for it, please. Thank you.
Beg for it. Love that. Okay, I'm going to do this little section on Blanche. Todd Blanche is confirmed as the Attorney General now. We know that. And he went on with Kristen Welker and was asked some very important questions that he did not have great answers to. So this one is the biggest one that we will start with, which he was asked, can you pledge that the DOJ will remain independent of the president?
Appreciate your being here in person. As we just heard in your address to the Justice Department staff this week, you said you and DOJ will, quote, uphold the law without fear or favor. You, of course, used to be President Trump's former personal defense attorney. Can you pledge that the Justice...
Chain, how many people get arrested for illegally voting? I don't know. Check the Heritage Foundation's website. They're very, very good at tracking it. It's not a lot. You guys don't know enough about this to be speaking on it. You said that you know 30. Did you turn them in? How many were charged? How many were convicted?
Department will always act independently of the White House?
Well, there's a big difference between saying we will always do our job and investigate any case and act independently of the White House. No, I'm not going to pledge that. And no Attorney General should ever pledge that. The president.
Yes, they should, because the DOJ is meant to be a separate entity from the president. Yes. You should be able to pledge to that. Although the AG is nominated, I should say, by the president and then confirmed in the Senate, it is still a separate independent department from the president. It's supposed to be. I bet I know more illegal S than all you combined. Cool.
I mean, if I were to pledge I will be independent of the White House, what that means is that if President Trump says, I want the Department of Justice to go after every violent criminal in this country, which is what he has said, what you're saying to me is I should say, no, sir, not going to do it. So
no, and that's disingenuous and bad faith. That's not what anybody's saying. We're saying that you should do your job, which is if you're going after criminals who broke the law, that's your job already, regardless of what the president tells you. Because the president could say, don't go after them, and you would tell him to fuck off because that's your job, right? What we're saying is when he's going after David Hearn, we have no proof that he vandalized the reflecting pool, and Donald Trump is still saying, hey, go get him because he did it, with no evidence, that's where you should act independent and be like, no, sir, there's nothing there for us to do.
I will act with integrity. Our prosecutors will act with integrity. We will prosecute without fear or any sort of favor. And that's exactly what we've been doing, and that's what every Department of Justice should do.
Well, I guess big picture, if the president asks you to do something that you feel crosses an ethical or legal line, would you do it?
The president will never ask me to do something unethical or legal or illegal. He never has. He never will. And no, I swore to the Constitution of the United States.
I would think there's quite a few truths that actually prove that he has asked for that from the DOJ, to go after his political enemies. I think that that's been proven.
United States, like every cabinet secretary has done.
Oh, play the Janine sound, would you?
He damaged the pool.
There you go.
Done, and like every attorney general before me has done. And so this narrative that's mostly pushed by the left and pushed by the media, that the president's going to pull me aside and ask me to do something illegal, is completely a false narrative, not true, will not happen, and hasn't happened.
Okay,
So he says. So then he's asked, because God, what is it? I think it was 0 to 20. Either 0.23 or 0.29 in losses now for the DOJ's attempts to obtain voter rolls from the states. It's really going poorly. And so Kristen Welker's like, hey, are you guys going to like give up on that now? Because like it's old and tired.
One of the issues that he really cares about, the midterms, and there's been a lot of focus on the midterms as it relates to the Justice Department, which has lost 22 cases trying
22. I think it's 23 now since this, actually.
To force states to turn over their voter rolls.
RF kidding me. So here's the thing. RTP literally got taken down yesterday for playing that Jubilee thing, because Jubilee is very, very, very picky on their copyrights, which I already knew. I have played clips from Jubilee before, but as long as they're very, very short and small, you can kind of get away with it. But since it is a brand new video, they want to get as much of the money from them as possible. And also, I don't see the point. Tim Pool gets owned, yes, true. I just don't see the point in promoting it. I'm not a huge fan of Jubilee's platform as it is. I think that they can promote a lot of harm in the fact that they titled it Moderate Tim Pool, when we know this man is not a moderate. He literally was asked in that Jubilee interview, did these people vote for law enforcement to kill citizens? And he said yes. I just don't see the point in playing Tim Pool so that MAGA can be like, yeah, woo, for no reason. I just don't see the point.
State officials have pushed back against those moves. They say states dictate how elections are run, not the federal government. Is it time for the DOJ to drop this fight, and will you do it?
Also, have we ever seen him without the beanie? I'm just asking.
Well, we're relying on a statute passed by Congress that allows us, in the right circumstances, to review and get those voter rolls. And so, yes, we're not going to stop doing what I think every American should expect us to do, which is make sure that we have elections that are fair. And as that relates to
They are. We know that they are. We don't need you to do that. I mean, I guess, but you don't need voter rolls to ensure that they are, because we know they are.
Department of Justice, that means making sure that there are no constitutional legal violations, even at the state level. So yes, President Trump, this administration knows and of course understands that states administer elections, and that will always be the case, but it doesn't mean the federal government should play no role. And so the tension there is, of course, whether we should be playing the role that we're playing, and that's really what we're litigating.
How far are you willing to take this fight? Because you've been ruled against now 22 times. Are you going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court, do you anticipate?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're trying to work it out with states. Of course, yes, absolutely, it's a possibility. Election integrity is something that President Trump ran on, and the American people elected him. It's something that every American should care about. And so the idea that the Department of Justice is trying to investigate issues around elections to make sure they're fair and make sure they're conducted the right way is not something that we should be running away from. That's something we should be running right towards.
I want to finally.
Again, you just found a picture of him without the beanie. I've never seen it, so maybe it's just me. More shit that you guys can't prove. There's no reason to go after these voter rolls except for intimidation tactics. So, Todd Blanche was on Fox News. I think I go from Fox News back to Kristen Welker, and then we're done with that section. But the ballroom has been stopped once again by a judge. Again, the issue with the ballroom is the fact that he didn't go to Congress. I don't know what you guys do not understand about this. He needs congressional approval to do a change that is this massive. The courts have allowed him to work on the security aspects. He can still do construction in regards to stuff that is meant for security, but he is not allowed to do anything above ground that is decorative or renovation or whatever. Without congressional approval. He keeps getting stopped on that. Thank you so much. And he's the one who said when he got elected, we were elected with a mandate. We have a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. Thank you so much. And you need to go through Congress due to those things. If you have the mandate, if you have the majority, why can't you get your Republicans in Congress to approve this? Probably because it's not popular with your constituents to spend this kind of money while Americans are struggling, but whatever. So he's asked, Todd Blanche has asked, why not just go to Congress about the ballroom? Why not just do that?
All right, speaking of the Supreme Court, you all now have an emergency petition there regarding construction on the White House ballroom complex. The 2-1 decision from the D.C. Circuit against you guys, the majority wrote, the two judges there, this ruling doesn't necessarily mean that defendants may not ultimately construct the ballroom. What it does mean is that the defendants may not do so during the district court's expeditious litigation without securing Congress's authorization as the Constitution and laws require. Why not just go to Congress?
Well, as we talked about, and as we just put in brief to the Supreme Court earlier this week, we don't believe we have to go to Congress. We believe Congress has already given us the authority to do what we're doing. Many presidents have done a tremendous amount of work to the White House, as they should, and Congress has authorized them to do so. And so we have a fundamental disagreement with those two judges, as we have told the Supreme Court earlier this week. And we'll see. The Supreme Court has briefing established that'll last over the next week or two, and we'll go from problem there. But President Trump has said for many months now, almost a year, that he has the authority to do this. And he said that because he absolutely does have the authority to do this. And we're
It doesn't seem like it because the courts don't seem to be ruling that way.
We're hopeful that the Supreme Court recognizes that, and so that we can get the ballroom finished as soon as possible. Remember, yes, it is a ballroom, but it's also a meaningful upgrade and necessary part of the security of this city and the security of the president and his family. And so it's not just about a place for world leaders to come and have dinner. It's also about making sure the president, his family, guests, world leaders are safe when they're in the city.
Of the city?
Well, and he's literally held a UFC fight outside, and that was fine. We weren't worried about that security at all. Now we're worried about this one.
They've now lost so many cases and have been laughed out of court so many times that the Justice Department usually has something called the presumption of regularity. So they don't necessarily need to prove things going in, and they no longer are afforded that. So that goes to show you that this Justice Department's a fucking joke.
Shocker. Oh yeah, that's out for delivery. My dummy battery.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, goodbye. Appreciate you. Sorry, I got distracted.
Crickets.
He's always around crickets. I don't know why he's always around crickets. Hopefully I can try and set this up this week or this weekend. My brother has a really, really fancy Canon camera that we want to use instead of this Logitech one. But I had to get a cord, a capture card, and a dummy battery. I'm just waiting on the dummy battery to be delivered today. Hopefully I can get that working. That would be nice. Speaking of the payments for that, thank you to Dawn. Thank you so much for the $5 for We Are in Such a Mess. Thank you for your light. I try. I hope I am bringing light as I report on things that are not fun to report on. I hope that it is bringing it to you in a, enthusiastic, positive way that we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to be here and we're going to continue to fight this because absolutely the fuck not. Last video that I have on Blanche is back with Kristen Welker being asked again about the Jan 6ers. Now, they're saying the anti-weaponization fund is moot. I have shown you where that doesn't seem to really be the case. But there are also other avenues that the Jan 6ers can go through in regards to trying to get money. They have been trying to do that in a lot of the courts. Actually, the DOJ has been shutting it down. I showed you, I think, 1 or 2. I have seen another 2 after that, where Jan 6ers have been coming to the DOJ to get from a different fund that's not the anti-weaponization fund, and the DOJ is like, nope, statute of limitations expired, you're done. So that's been an interesting thing to watch. But will he make a pledge of not giving money out to Jan 6ers? To be fair, I don't think that's a pledge he can make because there are avenues, again, within the courts that they can try and get this money from the government. Whether they do is going to be a whole thing, but you have a president who's sympathetic to people who attacked police officers on January 6th. So,
Mr. Attorney General, on President Trump's first day in office, as you know, he pardoned everyone who attacked the Capitol on January 6th, including 172 people who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers. How is that consistent with your pledge to always protect law enforcement?
There's nothing inconsistent about that. The president's pardon powers, any president's pardon powers, are not limited. So when I say, and when this Department of Justice says, and when the FBI says, like we're saying, and every U.S. attorney is saying, that if you assault law enforcement, we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, that is absolutely what President Trump expects, absolutely what I expect.
Except when you pardon 1,500 of them, regardless of their crime.
Of our prosecutors, and that's
except for that thing.
Completely separate from any president's ability to pardon.
But he did the opposite of that effectively. I mean, on January 6th, police officers were beaten with baseball bats and flagpoles. Do you believe it was wrong to pardon the people who assaulted police officers on January 6th, given that you have vowed to protect law enforcement?
Every attorney general vows to protect law.
Chain, yeah, I will talk about pardons. I talk about pardons a lot, and my community can vouch for the fact that I talk about pardons and the pardon power a lot. Do you want to talk about pardons? Because we fucking can. Chain, you refuse to call in. You have a lot to say in the chat, but you won't call in. I don't think that the pardon power should be something solely in the hands of the president, regardless of political party. Okay. I think that the pardon power should be a committee that votes on those pardons. I do not think that you should be able to just pardon people. Yeah, you say Hunter Biden. Cool. Don't agree with the fact that he pardoned his son. Don't agree with it. I understand why he did it. It's his son. Don't agree with it. Did you hold the same principles for Trump in his first term before Biden, pardoning Jared Kushner's father? Did you? I can hold the same standard, but I didn't say but. I said I understood why he did it. It does not excuse the use of the pardon power. I disagree with his use of the pardon power. That was not a but. Do you hold the same standard to Donald Trump, who has pardoned fraudsters, who has pardoned his son-in-law's father? Do you hold that same standard? I don't agree with the pardon power in the way that it is. At all. He's going to pardon all his kids before he leaves office? Probably. Probably. And the only thing that Todd Blanche has to say about the fact that he pardoned 1,500 people who went to the Capitol, and regardless of what their convicted crime was or their charged crime was, pardoned them, the only response Todd Blanche has is, well, it's in his power to do so. Yeah, that's true, dumb fuck. What's your opinion on it? You guys say that you're protecting cops. You didn't protect cops. He pardoned these people. Multiples of them have been rearrested for crimes against children.
Enforcement, including me. And so, no, I'm not opining or in any way saying what President Trump did is wrong. Absolutely not. By the way,
isn't it inconsistent with what you said, though? Is
absolutely
it inconsistent
not. There's
with
a difference.
Your pledge?
No, there's a difference between saying we will prosecute anybody. If later a president chooses to pardon that individual, that is the president's right under our Constitution. Do not forget that a few days before President Trump pardoned the individuals associated and who had pled guilty to the conduct on January 6th, President Biden pardoned.
Chain, I love how you, instead of actually addressing what I said about the pardon power, you pivot to Hunter Biden likes really young girls from Ukraine. Can you prove that? Can you prove that? Donald Trump likes really young girls from America.
Hundreds and hundreds of criminals, many of whom were quite violent. So that's his
Lock
right
up Hunter
to do
Biden.
that.
I don't give a fuck.
Just like it's President Trump's right to do that.
But what message does it send to police officers that people who assaulted them were pardoned?
The message to police officers is consistent and same every single day, which is that we will protect you. And by the way, that's a little bit interesting coming from a place where we see violent protests breaking out all over the country, in New Jersey.
Yeah, Cap, I've talked about that pardon in Minnesota. I personally can disagree with it. However, that was a board that recommended it. It wasn't just Tim Walz on his own. The pardon power is different in the states than it is on the federal level. So that was a board that decided to give that man his pardon. Tim Walz just had like final say. And it was requested actually by the victim themselves. The victim themselves said to pardon this man. I disagree with it personally. But that is what happened surrounding that case. Just be honest, Cap.
Where we see violent protests breaking out all over the country, in New Jersey, in Minneapolis, in Seattle, in California. And instead of there being a full-throated defense by leadership on the Democrat side, on the Republican side, what you have is it's as if we're doing something wrong by saying we will protect law enforcement and we will prosecute those who assault law enforcement. We're not.
Yeah, you're not. You're not protecting law enforcement. That's not happening, actually. That's not what's happening.
Also, that individual only had 2 years left on their sentence, so.
Correct. Like, it's wild to me that you guys will find these examples that I can say I disagree with, but you won't disagree with the ones that are happening in Trump's first term or now. Just be consistent. Just be consistent. All right. For this last bit, I don't know if this will take the whole hour. I hope so. But we're going to move to some judicial news, so we'll be a little bit all over the place. Hey, babe, what's up?
Real quick reminder, today's the 106th anniversary of women getting the right to vote.
Kind of.
W-19. Well, yeah, it was ratified today.
It was ratified by the states today. Tennessee was the 36th or 32nd state to ratify it. However, it was not like officially put in until the 26th. So almost, but yes.
W-19th Amendment.
You just did that to piss them off. Why would you do that?
I did.
And a man coming up here to celebrate it. And yeah, it wasn't all women. What am I going to do with him? Okay. What? All right. Let's go to this PBS story that we had. This has been something that's been going on. We're just kind of filtering updates on it as we go. Give him up for adoption to an ostrich farm. He would love that. He would love that. He absolutely would. 3 FBI agents fired over Trump investigation get broad backing in a lawsuit against the administration. An association of thousands of FBI agents and other groups are backing a lawsuit filed by 3 Bureau employees who were fired last year for their roles in an investigation into President Donald Trump's efforts to undo the results of the 2020 presidential election. A legal brief by the FBI Agents Association is one of 5 filed by outside parties in the last week in support of the agents, who were terminated as part of a broader personnel purge by FBI Director Kash Patel that has targeted employees who investigated Trump or are perceived as being against the administration's interest. Taken together, the filings, including from former FBI and Justice Department alumni, underscore a concerted and bipartisan pushback to the waves of terminations that have roiled the FBI in the last year and a half, as Patel has sought to remake the Bureau in his own image. The briefs argue that the firings were illegal because the agents were denied due process and punished for perceived political affiliation, and say the terminations contradict decades of expectations that the Bureau's apolitical professional career corps of agents can work on sensitive cases without putting their careers at risk. The Bureau simply cannot function if individual special agents must choose whether to accept a lawful assignment that could later get them fired, or alternatively to reject it and become subject to firing for insubordination. FBI special agents have long understood that they are subject to assignment and reassignment at any time based on the needs of the Bureau, the Agents Association, which serves nearly 12,000 members, wrote in its brief. A brief filed by former senior Justice Department officials says the firings have undermined a half-century of independence as a guiding principle. Putting aside the resulting violation of plaintiffs' rights, the inevitable impact of the purge will be to chill the independence of remaining and future career agents, attorneys, analysts, and other staff at the FBI. DOJ and other law enforcement agencies who must now act with the understanding that their investigative and law enforcement judgments can, for the first time in their careers, be assessed through a partisan political lens, the brief states. The 3 agents, Michelle Ball, Jamie Garman, and Blair Tolman, said in a federal lawsuit filed in March that they were fired in a retribution campaign, targeting them for their work on the investigation into Trump. The agents performed exemplary and unblemished service in the FBI and expected to spend the remainder of their careers at the Bureau, but were abruptly fired without cause and without being given a chance to respond, the lawsuit says. The investigation the agents worked on culminated in an indictment from special counsel Jack Smith that accused Trump of scheming to overturn the 2020 election he lost to Democrat Joe Biden. Smith ultimately abandoned that case, along with a separate one accusing Trump of illegally retaining classified records at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, after Trump won back the White House in 2024, citing Justice Department legal opinions that prohibit the federal indictments of sitting presidents. Patel and Pam Bondi, who was the Attorney General at the time, have said the fired agents and prosecutors who worked on Smith's teams were responsible for weaponizing federal law enforcement, a claim that was also asserted in their termination letters, but that the plaintiffs called defamatory and baseless. The filings are known in the law as amici, or friend of the court briefs. They are sometimes submitted by outside parties in lawsuits to help stress particular arguments or inform a judge's thinking. Other groups who submitted briefs include a collection of First Amendment scholars, a group called Lawyers for the Rule of Law, and Justice Connection, a network of department alumni that warned in its filing that a politicized FBI could turn against citizens because of their speech, association, or perceived disloyalty. The Constitution, the filing said, is designed to prevent precisely this kind of abuse. So, yeah, amici, that one. So we will continue to watch as that goes forward. I've played for you before where Todd Blanche was at an event, I believe it was CPAC, and he was saying all the people who have worked on investigating Donald Trump has been fired. And everybody clapped, and he said, I wasn't bragging about it, I was just stating facts. No, you wouldn't bring it up except for the fact that you are bragging about it. So back to Todd Blanche for a second. Todd Blanche was, as this was shortly after he literally was confirmed as the AG, he was asked about going after New York for their secondary home tax, something that I don't see how they would be able to do, but he's asked about it regardless.
Thank you. Question about yesterday, President Trump said that he's exploring federal options against New York City's second home tax. Is the DOJ exploring legal options to counter that tax right now?
I don't have any comment about what we're doing to explore legal options with respect to that tax. I think that's a combination of the Department of Justice and potentially other agencies that would look into what to do. The president's spoken publicly about his views of it, and the Department of Justice has filed civil lawsuits against cities all over the country where appropriate, but we haven't filed a lawsuit yet, and I'm not going to comment on what we're doing around that. Yes.
I don't see what recourse they would have necessarily, but that could just be my misunderstanding, but I just wanted to point it out that they are talking about it. Okay. Did anybody see Tasty Cake today? Because he's been waiting on this. But let's talk about this. So we now have a superseding indictment, which all that means is it takes over for the previous one. It is the same one. It just added somebody specific onto it. I said we were going to keep up with this case, and I meant it. Ex-Southern Poverty Law Center official charged in broader criminal case against the group, lawyer says. A former Southern Poverty Law Center official has been charged in the Department of Justice's broader criminal case against the Alabama-based civil rights group, a frequent target by conservative critics who claim the nonprofit is politically biased. Heidi Beirich, or Beirich, I'm not sure which one it is. Heidi Beirich, we'll say that, a political extremism expert who served as the law center's chief financial officer, was named in an indictment unsealed Wednesday. She was expected to make her initial court appearance in Riverside, California, later in the day. Beirich, 59, of Palm Springs, California, is charged with wire fraud conspiracy, conspiracy to submit false documents to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering. She was charged in the government's existing case against the SPLC in Montgomery, Alabama. Beirich's lawyer, Michael Proctor, accused prosecutors of trying to punish his client for her, quote, decades-long record of success dismantling hate groups. Quote, a free and fair society does not use the justice system to silence its political opponents, Proctor said. Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the charge at a new briefing in Washington, but did not name Beirich. An SPLC spokesperson had no immediate comment. Beirich led the SPLC's intelligence project, which incurred the anger of conservatives with its annual report on organizations that it classified as hate groups. Critics accused the law center of unfairly tarnishing right-wing groups with the same label that it applied to white supremacists. Beirich co-founded the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism in 2020 after leaving the SPLC. She has testified before Congress about far-right extremism and is frequently interviewed about the subject by news outlets. Her current organization did not immediately respond to emails seeking comment on Wednesday. A superseding indictment filed in June appears to refer to Beirich as Employee 2 and by her former title as Director of the SPLC's Intelligence Project. The indictment alleges that $4.1 million in donations were used to pay informants inside extremist groups. That is not a crime. Prosecutors said some of the money was used for recruiting new members and purchasing Ku Klux Klan robes and materials for cross-burning ceremonies. That would be paying for your informants to blend in. That's also not a crime. The indictment said Employee 2 oversaw the payment of donor money to SPLC informants or field sources. The indictment alleges that Employee 2 was in a romantic relationship with one of the sources who infiltrated a neo-Nazi group at the direction of the SPLC and that they shared a house and bank accounts. Now, the reason I bring this up, this part specifically, because everything else that I read, and I'll show you the indictment just so you have it in the outline as well, everything that I'm reading shows that she was doing her job. As she said, what they are charging the SPLC and Heidi Beirich with is that they defrauded the donors who donated to the SPLC by funding these informants without the donors' knowledge, which is ridiculous because the SPLC's website says when you're donating that we work on dismantling hate groups. Paying for informants for them counted as dismantling hate groups. Now, the one thing that I can agree they need to investigate on with Heidi Beirich is this part, which is that she was in a romantic relationship with one of the sources who infiltrated a neo-Nazi group at the direction of the SPLC, and that they shared a house and bank accounts. Because if you are paying the person, she's in charge of those payments, and paying the informant that she's living with, I think that there is a conflict of interest there. She probably should not have been in charge of those payments. That's fine. Get her for that. I don't think it is okay for her to be living with somebody she is also paying. I think there could be corruption there. Everything else is them doing the job of the SPLC. The paid informants included KKK members and white nationalists who initially approached the SPLC for help leaving the extremist organizations, but were offered monthly payments and expense reimbursements, yet to stay, to be an informant there. That makes sense. So I will show you, this is the superseding indictment that we have. And again, most of it is the same as, do I have the original? Yes, of course I do. The 14 pages that we've read up and down, back to front, okay? So there's a lot that are the same because it's the same charges. All that they did here is they included Heidi in this time. Where was it? Donors. Here we go. Donors paid. In 2014, F9 broke into the headquarters of an extremist organization and stole approximately 25 boxes of documents. Now, that's the claim that they're making. I would say if they were an informant within the group, I don't see how they broke in if they're a part of the group. F9 transported these documents across state lines from West Virginia to North Carolina. Thereafter, with the knowledge of Heidi Beirich, donors' money was used to copy the stolen material, after which F9 broke into the headquarters again and returned the originals. You would have to prove that she had knowledge that they did that and where that was a crime. Beirich used the copies, knowing they were stolen, as the basis for a story published on Hate Watch. The SPLC used this story to solicit more donations. Thereafter, Beirich paid approximately $6,000 in donors' money to F39 to falsely take responsibility for the burglary. The SPLC paid F9 for over 20 years. However, in just the time period alleged in the second superseding indictment, the SPLC secretly paid F9 over $1.2 million in donor money. Most of this money was secretly funneled to F9 through the tech writer's bank account. It's not secret. It is a shell corporation to be able to pay them, because guess what? You get caught with the fact that you have a check that says SPLC on it, probably bad things are going to happen to you within the organization that you're infiltrating. Like the FBI does this. We pay this money. And as we watched some from the hearing where the director, I think he's acting, but the acting director of the SPLC spoke in front of Congress. He did not say a lot because they are currently in litigation, so it makes sense that he didn't. But what he did say is that the Trump administration was made aware of these payments. This is not some secret that nobody knew. The Trump administration, the Biden administration, the Obama administration knew what the SPLC was doing with this donor funding. The donors themselves also knew. This is silly. Heidi Beirich oversaw payments of donors' money to the Fs, including F9. Beirich was also in a romantic relationship with F9. During this relationship, Beirich and F9 shared a house and 2 bank accounts. Between 2015 and 2021, approximately $140,000 in donors' money flowed from the SPLC operating account through the tech writer's account and was ultimately deposited into the joint bank accounts held by F9 and Beirich. This amounted to approximately 66% of all money ever deposited into their joint bank accounts. Beirich then used donor money to pay the couple's personal living expenses. This is where I'm fine with you investigating. That one right there. Everything else sounds exactly like what the SPLC has always said they were doing, and without crime. But if you would like to investigate Heidi Beirich for payments, 2021 doesn't make sense because she left in 2020. But 2015 to 2020 would make sense in way of investigation. If she was in a romantic relationship with this person, and she was in charge of the payments to this person she was living with and sharing a bank account with. Investigate that. Totally fine with that. You guys are really, really simple. Tasty Cake, you're really, really simple in the head, and I know that. And by the way, I know where you were yesterday and what live you were in and what you were saying. I'm not shocked. At all. Anyway, we will keep up with that case as we have been, because the SPLC indictment in of itself does not seem like it was enough, so now they're going after individuals. Okay, cool. Continuing on, we had this come out. State judge tosses charges against false electors in Nevada. Now, it makes sense, I promise you. Let me read it. A judge in Nevada has thrown out criminal charges against 6 Republicans who falsely claimed to be presidential electors for Donald Trump in 2020, concluding that state prosecutors failed to show the 6 false electors acted with the intent to defraud election officials. What they're saying is that the 6 false electors didn't know that they were false. Like, they were told, like, hey, you are electors for Donald Trump. And they were like, okay, cool. And that they didn't intend to defraud, that they had no intent there. The state failed to present sufficient evidence from which a reasonable grand jury could infer the requisite intent to defraud. Clark County Judge Mary Kay Hothus wrote, calling the evidence presented by prosecutors at best minimal. Hothus sharply rebuked the case brought by Attorney General Aaron Ford, and it is the latest setback for the prosecutions aimed at GOP allies of Trump who aided his effort to overturn the 2020 election results. Ford indicated he intends to appeal the ruling. The district court's decision is once again wrong, and we will appeal to the Nevada Supreme Court just as we did when the court first dismissed our case against these defendants, Ford said in a statement. My office will continue to work to hold these fake electors accountable for their actions which attempted to undermine our democracy and erode trust in our elections. Why are we talking about Kamala Harris suspending? That's not what we're talking about. The copium runs deep. SPLC funded the operations and continued existence of extremist groups while slandering conservative advocacy groups as hate groups. No, they paid informants to infiltrate those organizations the same way that we do through the government, right? That's what they did. Are we also continuing that? Oh, by the way, if you hold that same standard, fine. Did you see the story? We reported on it here. I see that it's getting a fresh bout of news this morning through PBS. Did you see the story where we have accusations of the DEA allowing amounts of fentanyl to come through from smaller smugglers in order to get the bigger network group? Is that fine with you? So our taxpayer dollars was funding the continuance of drug trafficking in this country. If you're going to hold the same standard, if you think that the SPLC funded hate groups, we funded drug traffickers, you're fine with that? Okay. My office will continue to work to hold these fake electors accountable for their actions, which attempted to undermine a democracy and erode trust in our elections. Criminal charges against Trump himself, brought by special counsel Jack Smith as well as county prosecutors in Georgia, were tossed after he won the 2024 election. Cases against those who falsely signed certificates claiming to be legitimate presidential electors have now been thrown out in Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Georgia. After Trump's defeat at the polls in 2020, he and his advisors grew increasingly desperate in their bid to find legal routes to overturn the results. In one last-ditch maneuver, the campaign organized slates of Republican electors to cast votes for Trump in 7 swing states that had been certified for Joe Biden. Many of the so-called alternate electors were told their votes were placeholders, meant to count only if Trump prevailed in his lawsuits aimed at reversing the results. But as Trump's courtroom efforts failed, a close circle of legal advisors devised another plan for the false electoral votes, used them to derail the January 6, 2021 session of Congress when lawmakers were slated to certify the election for Joe Biden. The existence of those false electors became a pretext to pressure then Vice President Mike Pence, who presided over the January 6th session, to declare Trump the winner or block Biden's victory. A slew of investigations into the events that preceded January 6, 2021 showed that many of those who signed the false electoral college certificates were not aware of the larger designs to use their votes to disrupt the congressional session or pressure Pence. Excuse me. So that's why the cases are being thrown out, so it makes sense. Those who signed these might not have known what was going on. Because a lot of people don't. Thank you. They were just told, hey, you're a placeholder. That's what you're doing. And they didn't know that it was illegal. A judge in Michigan throwing out charges against the state's false GOP electors suggested that organizers of the effort might bear responsibility even if the individual electors did not. Charges are pending in Wisconsin against a key architect of the Electoral College gambit, attorney Kenneth Chesborough. He's lost his license to practice law, by the way, as well as 2 other allies who worked closely with the Trump campaign. The case against the Nevada GOP activists, including GOP Chair Michael McDonald, was troubled from the start. Hoffa had already thrown it out once, saying it should have been brought in a different district, but it was returned to her by the state Supreme Court. In her latest ruling, Hoffa said the state also withheld key exculpatory evidence from the grand jury that brought the charges. She also noted that the false electors cast their ballots in public, declared their intent to preserve legal challenges, and did not seek to conceal their activities. She emphasized that no Nevada election officials believed the false GOP certificates were legitimate. The GOP certificate was not a document that could legally be accepted, filed, registered, or recorded under Nevada or federal law. Now, here is where I would disagree with the judge. It is her purview to say that. So we will see what happens on their appeal upwards, because ignorance does not excuse you from crime. That's not a thing that happens. You you don't get to say, well, I didn't know it's illegal to rob banks and I robbed a bank, and just say that that gets you out of it. Like, that's not how that works necessarily, depending on the evidence that they have in the case. So when I bring you these, it is only to say that we are keeping track of them, okay? Just something to see what's going on in regards to those cases. The bigger deal is the fact that there was a giant behind-the-scenes campaign to try to overturn the results of an election that he lost. That's just it. That's the way it is. He lost it. Get over it. In a loss for Trump, however, a judge has dismissed Trump administration lawsuit alleging anti-Semitism at Harvard University. A federal judge in Boston on Thursday dismissed a Trump administration lawsuit that accused... Thank you. I did that. Look, he's a good man. He brought me tissues. Not all men, guys. Not all men. Ugh. A federal judge in Boston on Thursday dismissed a Trump administration lawsuit that accused Harvard University of turning a blind eye to harassment of Jewish students. The decision from U.S. District Judge Richard G. Stern said that President Donald Trump's administration failed to prove an ongoing violation of federal civil rights laws. The judge said the lawsuit filed in March mostly focuses on incidents that took place in the 23-24 academic year, with a few from March 25. The cases were too isolated and episodic to prove a persistent civil rights violation at the Ivy League campus in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the judge said. We disagree. Yes, I know you would love for me to donate. That's great. We disagree with the ruling and are assessing next steps, said Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the Department of Justice. Harvard did not immediately provide a comment on the decision. The lawsuit accused Harvard of failing to protect Jewish students during pro-Palestinian demonstrations that roiled the campus after Hamas's October 7, 2023 attacks on Israel. The Trump administration argued Harvard officials did nothing as Jewish students were harassed, physically assaulted, stalked, and spat upon. In a statement after the lawsuit was filed, Harvard said it cares deeply about members of our Jewish and Israeli community and remains committed to ensuring they are embraced, respected, and can thrive on our campus. Harvard President Alan M. Garber says the university formed a task force to combat anti-Semitism. The university also hired a new provost and new deans and reformed its discipline policies to make them more consistent, fair, and effective, Garber said. The government's case sought to recover billions of dollars in federal research grants awarded to Harvard since October 2023. Trump officials argued they had a right to recoup the money under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. A federal law disbarring discrimination based on race or national origin. The lawsuit is among several actions the government has taken against Harvard since the Ivy League University refused a list of demands made by the White House after Trump, a Republican, returned to office last year. Trump officials have separately sought to cut Harvard's research funding and limit its ability to enroll foreign students and U.S. military members. In a separate legal case last year, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to reverse more than $2.6 billion in federal funding cuts to Harvard. That decision found that the White House put unconstitutional conditions on federal funding, using anti-Semitism as a smokescreen for a targeted, ideologically motivated assault. Despite their bitter dispute, Harvard and the Trump administration have held some negotiations, and Trump himself said the two sides had been close to reaching an agreement. But when the Justice Department filed this civil rights lawsuit in March, it pointed to an extraordinary impasse. When colleges are found in violation of federal civil rights laws, they almost always reach compliance through voluntary agreements. Harvard has been one of the only schools we have seen to say fuck off, and guess what? Good, because it shows that they're winning. We have seen Columbia, I believe it was, that capitulated, and guess what? The Trump administration asks more and more and more of them. Don't capitulate, stand strong. You'll win in the end if you do. I say that also to CBS, ABC, with you and your fucking settlements. Again, settlements are not losses, but you could have held stronger. Again, just to show that we have it, this is the actual document of dismissal, memorandum and order on defendant's motion to dismiss, signed by the judge. For the foregoing reasons, Harvard's motion to dismiss is allowed. The clerk shall dismiss the case. And you can read that. It will be in my outline. Okay, last thing that I have on judicial, we're going to play a PBS video on how there has been an increase in threats to judges and their families. Those two things could not be correlated to Donald Trump, surely not. But as we're sitting here, I see we're at 186,000 likes. If we could just try to get to 200,000 before the end of the stream, it would mean so much. That would be amazing. Guys, we still have not completed the Go Live pin. I know they're 10 coins, but if we could complete those, that would be amazing. I would appreciate it so much if we could. Never mind, because I just got my gifting suspended, so we can't do that, so tap. God, they such babies. TikTok, you're ruining your own platform. We love you, but you are. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not hit that thumbs up button, please do so. I would appreciate it. Do not forget I have that call line in for about 30 more minutes, but you have 30 minutes to hit that 200,000 likes on TikTok. And also, I have 24 left in my goal. We can surely dollar train, $2 train, or $5 train that to boost it up. Sorry, got distracted. $1 train, $2 train, or $5 train to get that down and done with and complete the goal for the day. I would appreciate it. Let's pay for women's labor as I'm sitting here. Okay. PBS. So yes, you guys have 30 minutes to do that. I'm sorry, I forgot. We like our sounds.
Do you know you have 30 minutes? Are you kidding? 30, yes.
Okay. It says it'll come back in 10 minutes. Yeah.
U.S. District Court Judge John McConnell received an unexpected pizza delivery to his home last year. While it was certainly strange, McConnell says he was deeply disturbed when he noticed the name on the order, Daniel Anderl. That's the name of U.S. District Court Judge Esther Salas's son, who was fatally shot at their family's home in 2020 by a disgruntled lawyer. Several other judges also received pizza deliveries under Anderl's name. McConnell says that was just one of multiple death threats he's received. They began escalating in 2025 when he temporarily blocked a Trump administration freeze on billions of dollars in federal funding. To discuss, Judge McConnell joins me now, along with Judge Esther Salas. Thank you both so much for being here. Judge McConnell, I'd like to start with you. What was going through your mind when you saw the name on this unsolicited pizza delivery?
Well, heartbreak originally, that some people, for political reasons, would invoke the name of Judge Salas's beloved son, who was murdered when a person was actually attempting to murder her and then ultimately wanting to do the same to Justice Sotomayor. So it was heartbreak turned to outrage, turned to disappointment that we had gotten to that stage in our discourse in the country.
And Judge Salas, what was going through your mind when you heard that someone had received a pizza delivery under your late son's name, and also to find out that there have been other cases like this?
Yeah, just sadness, but anger too, because Daniel stands for light and love, and he gave his life as an act of love for his dad, Mark, my husband, and me. And for people to be using and weaponizing his name to inflict fear on judges all throughout this country just tells me where we're at in terms of trying to intimidate the judiciary and trying to really strip the judiciary of its constitutional independence.
The president and members of his administration have launched verbal attacks against judges in the past. Recently, the general counsel to DHS, James Percival, wrote a list of federal judges on X whom he called the worst of the worst. We're not going to show that here. You were on our show last year talking about this and the harmful, inflammatory rhetoric that these administration officials are using. Have things changed, in your opinion? And if so, have they gotten better or worse?
I mean, they've gotten a whole heck of a lot more dangerous for judges. I think we are, devolving as a nation with the leadership that chooses to continue to dehumanize judges. I mean, for general counsel of DHS, who enjoys a certain level of, respect for the position, for DHS to be using government websites and using official handles to spread disinformation, it's just a sad state. And I think we need.
So we're seeing a larger usage of the government itself to attack these judges who make decisions that the administration disagrees with, but that then trickles down into y'all, the MAGA, and you guys threatening them, threatening their families for decisions that you don't like. You don't have to like the decisions. Nobody says that you have to. But I can't believe you can't show respect to these judges in any way, shape, or form, or their families for the job they have to do. We're seeing this even within your own political party for people who decide to disagree with you, right? As soon as Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to disagree with Trump on what to do about the Epstein Files Transparency Act, people came after her and they came after her son, saying that he deserves to be murdered. And Trump said, well, they said it. And that's when she really broke from him. Are you guys fine with that? You're fine with these threats? Of course you are, because you're disgusting as well. And then you get mad when we call you names like cultists and Nazis and deplorables. But sure.
To pump the brakes here, and we need to start coming back to a place where we can agree to disagree, and we can maybe disagree on the merits, but we have to stop personalizing and villainizing judges.
Judge McConnell, this pizza delivery was not the first threat you've received. Your office has been flooded with calls and emails, leaving threatening messages. They really picked up after your ruling to block that freeze on federal funding last year. We want to play a part of one of those voicemails.
So you better tell little Judge McConnell, I don't know who the hell he thinks he is. I double dare you to try to put charges on Donald J. Trump. You and I wish somebody would assassinate your.
It's deeply.
I'm not shocked by that because that's the same shit you guys say in here every single day.
Disturbing to hear. Do you think attempts to intimidate you like this are a result of the rhetoric coming from the Trump administration?
There's no doubt in my mind that the fact that certain of our leaders in this country have chosen dog whistles, there's no other way to describe it, when they talk about judges. Our new Attorney General said that we were at war with the courts. We've been called traitors. We've been called all sorts of names that serve as dog whistles to the population that says that judges are fair game for going after, for attacking. We know that when these personal attacks on judges are said by our governmental leaders, that the threats against judges.
I would agree with that, Justin. Dog whistles are meant to be something only a specific group is meant to understand and hear, right? When you had stand back, stand by, that was a dog whistle. What we have this administration doing now in this second term are air horns. This is not just for his MAGA cultists to hear. We hear it. We are yelling about it, that it is dangerous, and you guys are saying they are American patriots for threatening judges and their families.
Go up. I can attest to that specifically. They started and they doxed my daughter. My wife got threatened. The comments made that dehumanized myself and others. I'm not the only judge. Judges across this country have been subjected to what I've been subjected to.
And Judge McConnell, have you had to change the way you do anything within the confines of your work or your life more generally?
The answer is yes. I'm certainly not going to go into it for security reasons at all, but the work is the work. And as Judge Salas and I both, as do the hundreds of district courts of appeals judges throughout the country, our North Star is the rule of law. We follow that regardless, but it sure does make it a lot harder to safely live in this world and do our jobs when we're continually under dehumanizing attack from government leaders in the executive, from the top on down.
And right at the top, Judge Salas, we've seen Supreme Court Justices Barrett and Kagan testify about the need for increased security budgets. Justice Barrett memorably recounted how her son saw her put on a bulletproof vest.
So we didn't cover those. I did have a couple videos from them. It was never big enough for me to actually talk about. But both Justice Kagan and Justice Barrett spoke in front of a committee in Congress talking about a myriad of things in regards to the Supreme Court, but they did talk about specifically their security and how they need an increase in their security, as she just covered, Coney Barrett talking about having to put on a bulletproof vest because there have been so many times where Barrett has separated from the conservatives, leaning with the liberals in their decisions, and it disagrees with what Trump wants. And so she and her family are receiving threats. We are now threatening our highest judges in the land simply because they disagree with the president. This is not North Korea. Their job is to interpret the Constitution regardless of who the president is and who appointed them. Again, he nominates them, Senate confirms them. Their job is to interpret the Constitution. Just because they disagree with the president doesn't mean they did anything wrong. Stop going after them. You can disagree with them. Stop going after them violently.
So what do you think can and should be done with larger security budgets to protect judges? And also, what do you think the balance is between the need for more security measures, but also the need to tone down the rhetoric?
You know, I first of all think that the worst of the worst series that was launched by the General Counsel of the DHS came just weeks after these two justices historically testified to Congress about the threats to the Supreme Court. It doesn't seem to matter. I mean, whether it's a judge that's appointed by a Republican president or a justice that's appointed by or nominated by a Democrat president, we're seeing that this type of rhetoric just gives people license to take matters into their own hands. You know, the person who killed my Danny, the person who came to my home and murdered my only child, felt emboldened, if you will, to take matters into his own hands. And so what needs to happen is our leaders need to lead by example. And we need to all start toning down the rhetoric. If you want to criticize us on the merits, by all means, appeal us and criticize us on the merits. But that's not what DHS is doing. It's irresponsible. It is not true leadership. And I would ask our leaders, let's start leading in a responsible way.
Like, you guys need to denounce this. I don't. How did the left attack?
It's all coming from the left. Well, I knew it.
Yeah, Bob said the left has attacked free speech. How?
I knew the left was going to come out of somebody's mouth in the comment sections. Y'all are so predictable. It's the left, y'all. It's the left. Listen. Okay. There are some, there is no denying that there have been some threats from the left on the conservative justices, especially after the Dobbs decision. Like, we all acknowledge it. But the difference is between us and you is that we have zero issue ever saying, don't do that. Political violence is never okay.
Who was the one? Oh, it was Scalise, right? Yeah. In 2017, Steve Scalise and 4 other people were shot and wounded by a gunman during a baseball practice. I remember that in 2017. Like, they're Republicans, so my guess would have been that the person who shot at them disagreed with them, and he was a left-wing activist with a record of domestic violence from Belleville, Illinois. They called it an act of domestic terrorism. Like, yeah, I would say that that's bad, but we are seeing an increase of it on the right, and we are seeing an acceptance of it on the right. Because when those things happen, the Democratic members come out and absolutely denounce it immediately. Donald Trump doesn't really do that. We saw in way of January 6th where they were like, hey, we need to have metal detectors for guns and weapons for the speech at the Ellipse. And Donald Trump was like, I don't see where we really need to do that. If they're bringing weapons, they're not here for me. Like, he literally said, these people are not here to attack me, so I don't see why we need to do anything about it. He doesn't care. He actively is fine with, as long as it's protecting him with violence and threats of violence. So don't tell me about the left. What did the left do? Seems like you'll tolerate a few of certain people. You don't? Okay. Bob, is that what you said? Oh yeah, weren't you saying earlier you don't tolerate slurs? No, I do not. But I am not Congress. We have to...
Well, it's more than that, right? So freedom of speech protects you from saying whatever the fuck you want, but it does not protect you. Bro, that was a stop sign. Sorry. It does not protect you from the consequences of your actions, right? So you are on a private platform to which, as Monica is about to explain to you, with the First Amendment, Congress, it shall make no law. Now that was extended out by the United States Supreme Court in 1925 to encompass all federal and state branches of government from attacking your use of your freedom of speech, right? But this is a private platform, and last I checked, neither Monica nor I were ever elected to a position in any branch of government. So therefore, us operating our own private platform is not infringing upon your freedom of speech. And again, freedom of speech, but that does not provide you freedom from your consequences of your actions.
Correct.
You slur, which can be considered a hate crime.
Correct.
If it also incites violence.
Correct.
Or you utilize it in an attack on a person. Boom! Like mind-blowing. But you got the last 12 minutes. I'm gonna drop down so I can do my lunch and stuff.
Alrighty.
Alright, bye.
Okay. So I'll have that in the outline in case you need to freshen up on the First Amendment, because trying to figure out. I got like 12 minutes. Let's see what I can do here. What is MAGA gonna do when Trump kicks the bucket like the mortal man he is? I don't know. Freak out. I don't know. Is that Ari? Ari was here. I am Monica, but Ari was here. The J6ers were railroaded based on what? Bob, I would like Bobcat. Come call in. Call in. How were they railroaded? Give me an example. We can do the Tim Pool, Luke Beasley if you want to. Zelensky's a dictator who stole money. Okay. Yeah, I don't. It's weird. I trust in Jesus. Good for you. Good for you. Okay, I don't have time for that one. Can I do this one? Yeah, let's do this one. So we've got some CBS reporting about the flock cameras. And there is an issue. There is a huge issue with police state, and the fact that you guys are willing to support it is interesting to me that you're willing to support it. Sorry, I'm not calling in. Okay, well then stop. Then make your case clear, because just saying that they were railroaded doesn't mean anything. You have no proof of that. Who? Name one. It's my favorite. We are doing it. We're doing the Tim Pool, Luke Beasley, Bobcat. He said, held for years without trial, absurd sentences. Name one. Name a Jan Sixer. We'll go over it. We'll go over it. Anyway, you guys are for a police state. You love a police state. And there has been an issue with that in regards to flock cameras. Guys, remember, we got 10 minutes. Let's try to get that $24 knocked out. I believe my gifting is back. So if we could again start working on those flags, I would appreciate it. Look, I can send them to myself. So we can keep boosting those. That would be amazing. I would appreciate it. And we'll talk about flock cameras while we wait for a name.
Right. Now to the rising backlash over a nationwide network of cameras that record your license plate details. Over the weekend, there was a confrontation in North Dakota, and officials in one Texas county took action to block the cameras. Anna Schechter spoke with the CEO of Flock, the company behind the cameras, about those concerns.
A protest over Flock Safety's license plate reading cameras turning physical Saturday in Fargo, North Dakota, where groups that both oppose Flock but hold different political views clashed.
Mass surveillance is what is going on, and in my opinion, it has nothing to do with politics. It's about safety.
The confrontation coming the same weekend Hood County, Texas, shut down and covered its Flock cameras amid privacy concerns. The latest signs of a growing national debate over the company's rapidly expanding camera network. Flock's cameras capture license plates and vehicle information, data police say can help find suspects, stolen cars, and missing people. But recent cases of officers accused of misusing the system, including to track romantic partners, have intensified questions about privacy and whether Flock put enough guardrails in place.
If you try to use this tool illegally, you will get caught.
Flock CEO Garrett Langley.
Sure, they're getting caught, but they're using it, which is dangerous in and of itself. That's the problem. It's fucking dangerous.
Says some of the growing criticism is based on misinformation.
Have you been surprised by that response?
I've been surprised mostly only by the misinformation that they're attaching it to.
So you're calling it misinformation?
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to an individual who was concerned, and he said, "I don't like that you track my cell phone from your camera with Bluetooth." And I said, well, I don't do that. And they said, "Well, we really hate facial recognition." I said, "That's fair. We don't do facial recognition." And I think there is the misinformation bucket, and then there's real questions.
The company says it will cut its default data retention period from 30 days down to 7 and require law enforcement.
Oh, okay. So you are holding track of our information, but you're going to cut it from 30 days down to 7. Okay.
Customers to use a tool designed to flag suspicious search activity. Langley told us only a third of agencies had turned it on.
All right. So, Anna, what are state and federal lawmakers doing in response to the concerns that a lot of people see?
Bob, I asked you to name me a case of a Jan 6er who was held too long without trial or was given an absurd sentence. I asked you to give me a name so that we could go over it together, and you pivoted to puberty blockers. No, Eli, don't even fucking ask him that. Don't even fucking ask him that. You pivoted to puberty blockers. I asked for a name. I am willing. You said you won't call in. You refuse to call in. I am willing to have this conversation with you about January 6th. I am willing to have the conversation with you about January 6th. And you pivoted. Give me the name of somebody who was held at a ridiculous amount of time without trial, without their due process, because you're trying the Tim Pool argument, didn't work too well for him, or given an absurd sentence. Show me. Don't pivot. Means you don't know anything. Kayla said those cameras can literally use vehicle fingerprinting to attach you to a specific car. They've been getting caught because the targets of surveillance have been reporting it. Yeah, that's true. We can do a little Google at the end if we want.
About this.
Well, you have members of Congress in Kentucky, Tennessee, Connecticut, California, Democrats and Republicans all moving to restrict how federal agencies can access Flock data.
Really interesting.
All right.
So let's see what's going to be the best place. Let's see. I mean, like, according to Flock Safety, they don't. So that's the thing. We have to be... Because I'm not finding anything outside of Reddit. This is Flock itself, obviously. A Flock camera is a license plate reader camera built to identify vehicle details that may help generate investigative leads. That includes the license plate along with attributes like make, model, color, and other visible characteristics. Flock cameras are not general-purpose surveillance systems designed to identify people. They are built to focus on the vehicle involved in an incident and the details that can help distinguish it from the other vehicles on the road. As we have seen, multiple officers have been using it to track girlfriends, wives, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives. Well, yeah, definitely don't do that. Dano. Definitely don't buy lasers that you can point them at and burn out the lens. Definitely don't do that. I don't recommend that on this channel. Also, there are rumblings that on Halloween, there is going to be a mass protest on Halloween to go out and take down flock cameras. I don't advocate for that. Definitely don't do that. Don't do that. Definitely don't. Do flock cameras use facial recognitions? No, flock cameras do not use facial recognitions. They are built to identify vehicle information, not personal biometric data. They're not designed to search for people, scan faces, or track individuals. That distinction matters because it helps clarify what technology is built to do and what it is not. How long does flock keep data? Another important part. The information collected is not meant to sit in a permanent database forever. By default, data automatically deletes after 7 days unless local law enforcement requires something else. That's new. Remember, they said that they changed that. If you see somebody doing it, no, you didn't. And there's also that fact. So, because like I'm trying to find. So let's read this from The Hill real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Flock tries to quell surveillance fears as questions pile up. Jesus, stop. Why is that the ad that's on there? That's the... Flock safety is facing a growing backlash across the country from communities and civil liberties advocates concerned over the surveillance technology company's network of AI-powered license plate readers. So they're not facial recognition, they're license plate readers. Amid a wave of privacy lawsuits, let's see what you got. Yeah, but what is the source? No, I find it fishy too. It's not that, Kayla, but until we have information on anything else. Case alleging a violation of Fourth Amendment of the City of Norfolk's use of flock to indiscriminately track residents' movements around town survived a baseless standing challenge and motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. The decision marks a decisive victory against the warrantless surveillance of Americans' flock safety. And I don't like flock. Even if you're tracking license plates, I don't agree with it. Flock Safety is a service that installs hundreds of automatic license plate reader cameras in a given area to track the movement of vehicles for law enforcement, neighborhood watches, and other private customers. Instead of snapping a picture comparing a license plate to a database and then getting rid of the data, Flock purports to build a massive searchable database of the movements of each car for law enforcement. According to the complaint, officials can use the database to create maps of where people have been, where they tend to drive, and even who they tend to meet up with without a warrant or even probable cause. As the City of Norfolk police chief explained, it would be difficult to drive anywhere of any distance without running into a camera somewhere. But that's just tracking your movements of your license plate. In the 2018 case, Carpenter versus United States, the Supreme Court affirmed that individuals have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their long-term movements, even in public spaces, and because of that expectation, queries into long-term location tracking data constitute a Fourth Amendment search that requires a warrant. Duh. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia found that the city's tracking of individuals through the use of flock was notably similar to the facts in Carpenter. The court held that plaintiffs plausibly alleged a reasonable expectation of privacy in their movements and that those expectations were violated by the pervasive camera systems installed in Norfolk. The court further held that plaintiffs plausibly alleged that querying of Flock's databases to access long-term location data without a warrant constituted a Fourth Amendment violation. Finally, the court found that this Fourth Amendment violation was a sufficient injury in fact to confer standing to sue the city. Based on these findings, the court denied the city's motion to dismiss both on standing grounds and for failure to state a claim. Epic has a particular interest in the impact of new surveillance technologies that have the capacity to enable warrantless, pervasive mass surveillance of the public by law enforcement agents. Such techniques offend the right of individuals to operate vehicles on public roads while maintaining privacy and the right to be free of unreasonable searches. Epic has routinely urged legislators and courts to take meaningful steps towards protecting the privacy interests of motorists. Now, that's what we want to see. I want to see congressional legislation in regards to the use of flock cameras. I would like to see statewide legislation into the use of flock cameras, but I just want to be clear, they do not do facial recognition. Yes, it can track you because if you have flock after flock after flock after flock, which is getting license plate after license plate after license plate after license plate, it can get you going from home to Wendy's and back, right? Like that, and that is still a problem because that is a violation of our privacy. It should be expected that we have that privacy under the Fourth Amendment, our civil liberties and our fucking freedoms. It should be something that is not fucked with, and that's where I want to talk about that story or whatever, but we have to just be honest about what it is. So I will post that. Thank you so much, Kayla, for that. We will post what Flock says. Thank you so much, Sarissa, for the media shower. I appreciate you so much. And we will also do the Hills, Jesus Christ, that damn ad, the Hills article as well in the Discord. we'll do that one because that one and then that one. So that we can keep track of that and pay attention. But I just would like MAGA to answer for the fact that they are fine with a police state. They're fine with the surveillance state. You're fine with Big Brother. I thought you didn't like Big Brother. The Patriot Act says otherwise, signed by Bush. Sarissa, thank you so much for the bouquet. I thought the Patriot Act expired. Didn't the Patriot Act expire? Yeah, but there is a chance it could see people's faces. No, I agree. I agree with that. I'm just saying I want to be honest about what it is. Like, we can't go out there and say, it's picking up facial recognition data when we don't know that it is, when it's not what it's set to do. We just have to be honest about it, or else we, unfortunately for us on the left, thank you. Unfortunately for us on the left, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard than the right holds for them. And it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. But it is. If we start saying things that are not true right now, they will say it's fear-mongering and they will stop listening. If we say what is the truth, which is what they are doing now is still a Fourth Amendment privacy and civil liberties violation, and that it can lead to those things in future, and that there is the chance that it can pick up facial recognition, then we at least have a standard base to platform. They like to say we fear-monger, so let's not give them any more reason to. Okay? Good thing citizens have the constitutional rights to be well armed. Well, Steve, yeah, you have the right to be armed, but I would also like my Fourth Amendment right for privacy. I would like that. Let's see. Key surveillance provisions of the Patriot Act expired on March 15th of 2020 after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on reauthorization or reform. So they let it expire. Business record provision, roving wiretaps, lone wolf provision. And again, the Patriot Act was supposed to go against citizens. It wasn't supposed to be tracking citizens. Not that necessarily did a good job of that, so I wouldn't say that, but you know. Huge W's to Darwin at the last minute. Thank you, I appreciate you. Huge W's to Darwin for the 24. You said goal. Getting our goal completed as we ended today. If you guys have any more information as we get more information on Flock stuff, I would love to have it. Again, definitely don't go after those. Definitely don't do that. Pretty soon they're going to take away the public right to have a firearm. They're going to do large raids to unarm the population. I mean, maybe, Val. We saw the Trump administration go against the Second Amendment by trying to take it from the trans community. That's a violation of the Second Amendment, whether you like it or not. No, I understand that. But the problem is they rail against everything we say is fear-mongering. And I just, you know me. You know me, Kayla. I'm not saying your way is bad. You do that. I have no problem with that. I just, you know me. I'm very it's my tism. I'm very objective with the things that I present in the way that I do them. Okay. Do we have somebody? It's a man, but we could maybe raid him. I'm probably going to send YouTube and Twitch to RTP because that's kind of what we do. I don't need my help, though. We could do Naquan. Because I love Joey. But Joey doesn't need my help. Joey does not need my help. Can anybody find me? That's who I was going to play this morning. I wasn't going to play Paramore. I know, but he gets enough of my help, Dano. I was going to play Queen. Damn! I need to write that down somewhere. I'm mad about that. YouTube and Twitch, thank you so much for your support and being here. I appreciate it so much. I will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, whatever time that is for you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me get you set up here. Oh, or, you know what? I'm going to send you a bunch of different places, I think. We did RTP. When did we do it? We did RTP yesterday? We did RTP yesterday. So I'm going to send you guys to Jovan, actually. Psych, you're going to Jovan. If I could spell. Okay. YouTube, Twitch, I will see y'all later. Yeah, let's do Naquan. What's Naquan's at? Addy Babaddy.